Ladies and gentlemen, we are live and welcome to this afternoon's Iowa Corn 350 live commentary coverage for the NASCAR Cup Series at Iowa Speedway. And as we get started for today's live commentary stream, and as usual, every NASCAR Cup Series race live commentary stream, we have some trivia to kind of get our brains going, get a sharp start, I guess, if you will, to these streams here today. Really got to get by. Obviously, with my fantasy team, you'll know some of the top drivers who I think are going to compete for the win alongside the driver who I think is going to win the race. We'll get into the starting lineup. We'll go over the point standings, season in review, and we'll get this 350-lap race underway shortly. So into the trivia side of things to begin this stream today. I've got a unique one because we're at the Iowa Speedway for the first time. So there's only one cup race here. There's not a lot of stats to go off of that, but I found this quiz. And there were specific drivers that I could have picked for this quiz, but there's a reason why I took Joey Logano. So the quiz, as you read up towards the top, and I don't even know if you could see it. There we go. NASCAR winners when Joey Logano has finished in the top 10. So we have to think throughout Joey Logano's career, which is from 2009 in the Cup Series to modern day, who has won a race, and it gives us the number of wins that said driver has had. And we have 10 minutes to get all 39 of them. With this being a shorter quiz, we will be doing 2 quizzes on the stream today. Usually we try to go for the longer styled ones, but again, this week kind of had to make a quiz on the fly. I wasn't sure exactly which ones I was going to do. I had a little extra time, I guess, to try to find one, and I thought that this was unique and off the wall enough. But I think we can get a perfect score, honestly. All right. So anybody who has ever won during Joey Logano's career, basically, anytime he's finished in the top 10. So it might not even be every driver. If he didn't finish in the top 10 anytime somebody else had won, I was going to put Logano in there. Obviously, he's not in there. We'll put Ryan Blaney. He's obviously going to be in there. We'll get all of his teammates. So Austin Cindric has won. Brad Keselowski. Was a... Hang on. Spelled it wrong. Oh, is he not? Hang on. Wait. Okay. Jeez. Can't spell. 2009, Mark Martin. It's probably one of them. David Rudiman, the other. Yep. There's another one from 2009. Brian Vickers. Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Retired in 2017. 21 races. Or his last win was in 2017. So probably Jimmy Johnson. Three wins, only in 2009, 2010. I'll put McMurray. Okay. 22 wins up to modern day from 2010. Hamlin. The fact that I'm actually getting like all the blank ones. 2010 to 2013, 3 wins. (2010 to 2013). Let's go Greg Biffle. Oh, dang it. Well, he was on here. Casey Kane, definitely on here. 2010 to 2013. Bill Elliott's not on here. Him and Joey Logano did not race at the same time. Jeff Gordon would probably be to 2015. So maybe the 2014, 2015 one's Jeff Gordon. No, just 2014. Okay. Because, again, Logano had to finish in the top 10. Austin Dillon is probably on the list. I'll put AJ Allmendinger. Chris Buescher. Try to fly through this a little bit more so we get more names. Ryan Newman. Tony Stewart. Earnhardt Jr. Larson, Elliott, Byron, Bowman. Not Justin Haley in that Daytona race. Nope. The Bush brothers, Kurt Kyle. Kenseth is probably on here. Edwards. Truex. Boyer. Harvick. Almirola? Okay. Bubba Wallace. Cole Custer. No. That Kentucky race is not on here. Joey didn't get a top 10 that day. Briscoe. Priest hasn't won. Stenhouse. Eric Jones. Tyler Reddick. Josh Berry this season? No, he didn't have a top 10. Van Gisbergen, SVG. All right. Go Chastain. Really? None? So all 5 of Chastain's career wins, Joey Logano didn't have a single top 10 in any one of those races? That's crazy. Daniel Suarez. Same for Suarez in both of his career wins. Nothing. 2011, Regan Smith. Oh, no. Who else won that year? Trevor Bayne, Daytona 500. Oh, man. 2011. Dang, neither one of those were it. We have 2 from 2011, and then we've got 2021 through 23. Christopher Bell, yeah, you're right. I didn't put him yet. Okay, so that's the modern day. So 2011. Think of guys who won in 2011. They only had one win that year when Logano finished in the top. David Reagan, yeah, you're right. Summer Daytona. Regan Smith wasn't it. Trevor Bayne wasn't it. I think David Rudiman was the Chicagoland that year, but it was 2009. David Gilliland never won. And I've got Newman, Kenseth. Got 3 minutes. Who is this last driver? I know we can get a perfect score. At the Glen, Ambrose. Yep. You are correct. All right. There's the first one. Knocked it out of the park. Let's do another one. 2 quizzes today. Let's go NASCAR. Whoa. All right, NASCAR Iowa. Xfinity top 10. Oh boy, this is going to be tough. All right, well, here's our NASCAR Iowa quiz of the week. Good luck getting a perfect score on this one. 2009 to 2017 Xfinity Series. They had to get a top 10 at Iowa. We have 12 minutes. That is not a lot of time for this. Usually these quizzes we have like 20. So we'll see what we can do. I don't even know who would have won any of these races. I'm not going to lie to you. But Justin Allgaier, he's been around for a while. Elliott Sadler is full-time around here. Hornish, probably on here a bunch. Stenhouse. Dillon. Logano, maybe? See, because this was a standalone event, I'll put Kyle Busch. Okay, Busch is on here. Keselowski. Casey Kane. He ever run any? Nope. There's no way Newman's on here. Almirola. On here once. Vickers. On here once. Put Brennan Gaughan. It's on here a few times. AJ's probably on here. Dinger. Nope. No, he's not. Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher won here, and then James Buescher's on the list. Priest, no. Menard? No. Boyer, no. Christopher Bell? No. Chase Elliott? William Byron? Larson, probably. Yep. Blaney. Just trying to think of guys who were in the Xfinity Series in those years. Briscoe, maybe? No. Nope. No Briscoe. Hamlin ever run any? Probably not. Kenseth ever run any? Probably not. Carl Edwards is on here a bunch. Well, Biffle, probably not. David Reagan? Regan Smith. There we go. Michael Annett on here. The Burtons, none. No Burts. Truex, many of them are worth a try. Eric Jones. Whoops. John Hunter Nemechek at this time? Nope, not yet. Jason Leffler. He did race for a long time. Man, those early 2010 Xfinity days I do not remember very well. Stephen Light. Stephen Light's on here once. Brett Moffitt's on here. Josh Wise, I can't believe I got that. Landon Castle on here at all? Yep. Oh, Kligerman. Dude, I can't believe I pulled all four of those consecutively. McDowell. Oh, he's on here a ton. Wow. You got 100 out of 150. We're less than 4 minutes into this thing. Got 8 minutes to go. I've got Larson. There's no way Cody Ware's on here. Yeah. It's thinking a little too far outside the box. Reddick on here at all? Yep. Custer? No, he wasn't. He was a rookie in 2020 in the Xfinity Series. I didn't know if maybe, or in the Cup Series he was a rookie. There's some late 2010s still. Ryan Sieg? Sieg's on here once. Runner-up in 2017. Mark Martin on here at all? Probably not. Bowman. Yeah, Bowman's on here. Chastain, maybe? Okay, Chastain's on here. Justin Haley? Nope. That's 7 minutes. 106 of 150. Sheldon Creed? Probably not. No, he wasn't. Because it only goes to 2017. A lot of the guys in the Xfinity Series now wouldn't be on here. Jeremy Clements, maybe? He's on here once. Braun? No. Oh, what about that Scott? Yeah, Brian Scott. Blake Cook. I don't know how I remember that name, but he's not on here. Williams. No. Spencer Gallagher on here at all? No. Byers. Byers is on here. Bilicki is not on here. Missing 2013 winner yet. Joey Gase. No. I mean, Josh Wise was on here, so. I already have Vickers. Now I'm starting to hit a wall. Wyatt Snyder wasn't around at that time, I don't think. No. Just trying to think more towards like 2017 years. There's got to be some active drivers that I don't have on this list yet. Gregson wasn't around then. I think he got the trucks until 2018. Kenny Wallace? Bubba. Bubba's on here. Trevor Bayne on here at all? Okay, there we go. Got a few more. Trevor Bayne won the 2013 race. But how good we're all doing collectively. I'm not taking full credit for this. I tried Mark Martin. He wasn't on here. Looking back in the chat just to see if I missed anything. Tried Gilliland. I don't think David Gilliland would have came out here because he was mostly Cup at that time. Dale Jr. for whatever reason ever run any? Probably not. I'm trying everything. Brown. Ooh. No. That's a good try. JJ Yaley. Travis Pastrana for some reason ever. About Danica Patrick. Dang it. Just trying to get that 2013, 2012 era. There we go. Brandon Poole. Suarez. Yes. I tried Chastain, I believe. Yeah, I already have him. I already have him. Flopple? Nope. Got about 2.5 minutes. Anybody who's ever had an Xfinity Series top 10 at Iowa Speedway, our quiz for today on the channel. Got 131 of 150. It only goes to 2017. I've got the Dillons already. I've already tried Quapple. Definitely a tough quiz. Starting to blank. Ryan Reed. Ben Kennedy is a good guess, but I don't think he would be on. Oh, wow, he is on here. Wow. Who? Let's just throw like a Bodine in there, like some truck guys. Hornaday for some reason, probably not. Okay, that was too long before. Mike Bliss. Okay, there's another one. A minute and a half. Tried Briscoe. I've got the Bushes already. I don't think Kurt was on here at all, but Kyle was. Sauter. No. Look at the diecast. This was after his time, so that wouldn't work. I don't know. No, Ekis isn't on here. Oh, wow. I tried Ben Rhodes. He actually finished top 10 in the Xfinity Series. I don't know how I got that. Enfinger. How did I get Ben Rhodes? Oh, man. Did Hamlin run any? He did not. I tried him. It was a standalone event, so like some of the Cup guys came out here, but not a lot of them, even in the Leach days. 135 of 150. I'll take that. I think I'm tapping out. Time hits 0. Dakota Armstrong. I forgot about him. Josh Berry's on here. Josh Berry in 2016 ran an Xfinity race at Iowa. I didn't know he had to have been Junior Motorsports, you would assume. 2016, I wouldn't have thought Josh Berry. Garrett Smithley's on here as well. Dylan Kwasniewski, I forgot about that guy too. Drew Herring, I never in a million years would have gotten that. Same for Ryan Gifford. David Mayhew, I don't know who that is. Reed Sorensen's on here a couple times. Kevin Harvick is on here once. I didn't try Harvick. Jason Keller, Matt DiBenedetto in 2010 had a top 10. That was probably JGR, if I had to guess. 2010 Matt DiBenedetto. Like, that is, you don't think of how long he's been around NASCAR for until then. Cole Witt and Scott Legacy Jr., another truck guy on there. So that is the quiz for this week. The average score was 72%. We got 90%. We crushed it. Congratulations to everybody in the chat who helped get to that average score, or 90%, well above average score. Now into the predictions for today's race. So as we further along this pre-race, as they are just about ready to fire engines here at the Iowa Speedway, I'll go on to NASCAR.com on a different webpage. As you can see, there's a fantasy tab. You'll want to click on that to join our fantasy league. And on the left side, there'll be Fantasy Live. Click that as well. It is free to join. All you need is your email to sign up. And when you go to join our league, which is the KRC League, KRC in all capital letters, space capital L on league, you got a chance to win 2 tickets to any NASCAR race of your choosing, excluding the Daytona 500 the following season, if you win our regular season and or playoff championship. So be sure to join for your chance to win. So head-to-head picks this week, Ross Chastain versus Bubba Wallace. I've got Ross Chastain. Christopher Bell versus Chase Elliott. I have Christopher Bell. Josh Berry versus Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I've got Josh Berry. Ryan Blaney versus Willie Byron. Give me Ryan Blaney. Fantasy team for this week, I've got Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, Brad Keselowski, Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell is my race win pick for this weekend. He's been really good, obviously, on the shorter, flatter ovals in the NASCAR Cup Series. He had a pretty good run here at Iowa last season. Kyle Larson had a pretty solid run here. Ryan Blaney. Those are kind of the suspects who I think are going to be competitive for the win today. If you look to this weekend in particular, the Toyotas have unloaded with a lot of speed, just like they did at Indy last week. They really controlled the race for the most part. Like Hendrick Motorsports was right there behind the Toyotas. And that's kind of the same case again this weekend on the speed charts through practice, through qualifying. You got a Toyota on the pole again, Chase Briscoe. A lot of Toyotas were quick in practice yesterday. Tyler Reddick was fastest overall. Hamlin was up in the top 5. Although they're starting a little further back, Christopher Bell was up. Christopher Bell was actually fastest overall in practice. Reddick was fastest of the Group 1 drivers, so I apologize for that. But yeah, they're both quick with the unload speed. Bubba Wallace was up there. I think he was second fastest in practice, so look out for Toyota. And at the head of that, give me Christopher Bell. Again, the shorter, flatter ovals he seems to perform well at. He won at Phoenix earlier this season, which is probably the similarly styled track to this of any we've raced so far in 2025. And as we highlight our league standings coming into this weekend, Monster Jam X10 has the points lead with 4,236 points. That is a 34-point cushion over Evan 48-48 with 4 races to go in the regular season. I'm in third with 41.91. Inside Uranus 41.38 in fourth. Carm 60 41.27 rounds out the top 5. So that is the top 5 for the Fantasy League. Again, 4 races left in the regular season. So with that being said, we'll now transfer that to the point standings outlook. And the race for the regular season championship coming into today has Chase Elliott out in front, but only by 4 points over William Byron. His other teammate, Kyle Larson, is only 15 points back. And Denny Hamlin minus 20. 4 drivers within 20 points with 4 races to go. Can't count Christopher Bell out of it, especially if he has a good day today like I'm hoping he does, just for the sake of me picking him for the win. He's minus 62 points. Tyler Reddick minus 71 is also very much in contention still, especially if he shows speed in the race today that he had in practice yesterday. Anything beyond that, I don't see anybody else winning the regular season title, but it is up for grabs between 6 drivers, and mathematically, again, 4 drivers could be the points leader at the end of the race today, either Elliott, Byron, Larson, or Hamlin. On to the playoff picture now. 13 different drivers have won at least one NASCAR Cup Series race so far this season. With that being said, those drivers that are locked in the playoffs with those wins would be Denny Hamlin with 4, atop with the most wins. 3 drivers with 3 wins of Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, and Shane Van Gisbergen. And then there are 9 now after last week who have 1 win. Chase Elliott, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, Austin Cindric, and Josh Berry. The 3 drivers who are currently above the cutoff line on points are Tyler Reddick, who's plus 138 coming into the day, Alex Bowman plus 63, and Chris Buescher, who's plus 42. Buescher, the last driver in above the cut line, on his teammate Ryan Preece, both starting deep in the field today as well. Preece minus 42 points, Kyle Busch minus 81, minus 95 for Ty Gibbs, and AJ Allmendinger minus 124. Most likely in a must-win situation, I would imagine, for a lot of those guys, especially everybody behind Preece. So they're going to need a lot of help otherwise if they can't get a win in these remaining races in the regular season. So that is the point standings outlook. That is the Fantasy League outlook. Now it's time for the outlook on today's race, which is going to be the Iowa Corn 350 as far as the title sponsor for today's race. 350 laps around the 7/10 of a mile short track. That is still somewhat newer to the Cup Series. Our second race here. Last season's winner, Ryan Blaney, starting up in the top 10. The rest of the starting lineup, though, as follows. Chase Briscoe has his 6th pole of the season after yesterday's qualifying effort. 9th front row start. He started on the front row all but twice since the Coke 600 back in May. William Byron on the front row along with him had a good race here a season ago. In row 2, Kyle Larson, Austin Cindric. Row 3 for Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney. And then row 4 will be the young driver Carson Hocevar along with Chase Elliott. Row 5 rounding out the top 10 will be AJ Allmendinger and Justin Haley. In row 6 will be Denny Hamlin, Josh Berry, Michael McDowell, Joey Logano in row 7. Last week's winner in the Brickyard, Bubba Wallace and Alex Bowman in row 8. Christopher Bell, my pick to win on the inside of row 9 alongside Austin Dillon, who's pulling double duty this weekend. Cole Custer, Ty Gibbs in row 10. Row 11 for Shane Van Gisbergen and Tyler Reddick. Zane Smith, Riley Herbst. Row 12. And then row 13 will be Eric Jones and Daniel Suarez. Row 14, Chris Buescher, Ross Chastain. Those couple of drivers were pretty quick in practice, but slow in qualifying. They're going to be drivers to watch from deep in the field. John Hunter Nemechek and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in row 15. Row 16 for Noah Gragson, Ty Dillon. Ryan Preece, Todd Gillen in row 17. Cody Ware, Joey Gase, row 18. And then Kyle Busch, who crashed in practice yesterday in a backup car for the race today, will bring up the rear of the field in 37th. He was second in Group 1 in practice before his crash. Massive hit into the outside wall, head-on, turns 1 and 2. Good to see Busch in the car again for this weekend. USA still having audio issues, so I haven't had any audio issues with USA Network since I turned on their coverage right before the start of the stream.
Row 13, Eric.
It does sound like it's a little bit quieter compared to normal, but I can at least hear them, and you'll get to listen to their portion of the broadcast a couple of times throughout the race today. Patrick Chatterley, Dave Martz, Bam Hall, Frank Powers, Terry Lewis, Stu, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to run through the whole gauntlet of the shout-outs here. Robert Goodwrench, thanks for tuning in. Jackson Thomas, Crimson Storm 34, Billy Kramer, Steve, John Barber, welcome to the stream. A lot of you guys were playing along during the fantasy, so again, appreciate you tuning in early for the stream and playing along. John Ray, Emogene Blevins, Marcus Villarreal. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Winner of today's race can be known as the Cornfield King. Yes, sir. Based off of the Next Gen's history on short, flat racetracks, the Penske Fords have been very fast. Ryan Blaney winning this race a year ago. Yesterday in qualifying, Austin Cindric top 5. Joey Logano probably going to be a threat. You think of tracks like this, Phoenix, Gateway. Cindric, Logano with wins at Gateway. Christopher Bell has been very good in the last calendar year, specifically on these style of tracks. A couple wins at New Hampshire. A win at Phoenix earlier in the season. He also led a lot of laps in both Phoenix races last year. Taking Bell for the win because the Toyotas, in my opinion, have the upper hand based off of practice this weekend. Didn't see as much speed for the Penske Fords in practice compared to how they qualified. So the short run might be there. We'll see how they handle on the long runs. Very slick racetrack yesterday in practice. A lot of drivers were dealing with handling issues loose in. More in particular. It's how the Kyle Busch incident started. It was the only incident that recorded in practice, but there were a lot of drivers battling the same things. Will it be another loose racetrack for these drivers again today, or will all the cars on the track at the same time lead for the dirty air to kind of tighten things up naturally, as we usually see with this next-gen car and on these shorter ovals? We shall see. Chase Briscoe, Lexi outside lane. Sold-out crowd on the front stretch at Iowa Speedway on their feet. Green flag is in the air. We're underway in the Iowa Corn 350. And middle to upper groove was heavily preferred on both ends of the racetrack in the NASCAR Xfinity race yesterday. But on the bottom lane, it's William Byron, who is able to take the lead off of turn 2, clears our pole sitter, and despite qualifying second, William Byron will lead the first lap of the race today. Chase Briscoe in second, Austin Cindric third, Kyle Larson in fourth, and Ryan Blaney rounds out the top 5 at the end of lap 1. 70 laps in the opening stage for this race. Fuel window going to be just under 100 laps. So anywhere between 3 to 4 stops for fuel purposes in this one. And we will see them have to pit at some point during stages 2 and 3. But this first stage, they can go green to the end if it stays green that long. And we'll see if any lap traffic will come about as a result. Briscoe loses another position on the second lap. Off turn 4, Austin Cindric will clear him for second place. And now Brad Keselowski, who was the fastest Ford in practice yesterday. Great start up to 4th. Got by Larson, got a little tight through 1 and 2. But still able to get up off the exit of the corner well enough to beat Briscoe, who is definitely struggling in these early laps. Didn't even get to lead a lap from the pole, and he's lost at least 1 position each lap. And Kyle Larson going to try to get by him here. Briscoe, a little defense on the end of the front stretch, pinching Larson down on entry into turn 1. Larson wraps the white line. He'll stay underneath of Briscoe off turn 2. Side draft him and look to make the pass into 3 and 4. How many spots is that 19 car going to lose before he starts to settle in, if he does settle in at all in this first run? Big run for Hocevar up that middle to upper groove of the racetrack. The highest lane possible through the grip strip of the freshly paved portion of the track, which is on both ends in the bottom 2/3 from the white line on the apron all the way to about a lane and a half to 2 lanes off the wall. There's more of it paved in 1 and 2 than what there is in 3 and 4. It's kind of 2 lanes off the wall in 3 and 4, about a lane and a half off in 1 and 2 as far as where that fresh pavement is. So you're not going to see them ride all the way around the wall like they used to at Iowa if you watch those Xfinity and truck races back in the day. But couple of lines. This Cup car is probably going to handle a lot better on the bottom of the racetrack than what the Xfinity cars were yesterday. So it might lead for a little bit more passing opportunities. We've already seen quite a few passes these opening 7 laps. Briscoe able to hold on to Kyle Larson. They were side by side for a good 3 laps or so. Briscoe cleared him off turn 4 the last time. Still holding up a slew of drivers. More than 2 seconds off the race lead. Big gap between himself and Keselowski in 3rd. And a bunch of drivers stacked up behind the 4th place car. Troy the Great, thanks for tuning in as well. Billy Sellers, greetings from North Carolina. Joe Rochester, welcome to the stream. So you got that poll for who you think is going to win today's race. That will close at the end of stage 2 per usual. And in the early going of the stream, 49 votes have been casted, and you guys think somebody other than Larson, Bell, or Blaney will get the win today. 41%. 27% have Larson, 22% taking Blaney, who won this race a year ago, and Christopher Bell, who is my pick to win, only 10% of the votes so far. That could change, and we'll keep an eye on that throughout the course of the race today. So 10 laps in. And as we look at who some of the bigger gainers are, 5 spots gained for Todd Gilliland towards the back of the pack. Kyle Busch, who started dead last after crashing in practice yesterday, is up 3 positions to 34th, but no more than 5 spots have been gained for any particular driver so far, and really no more than 2 outside of those 2 that I named. 3 spots lost for the pole sitter Briscoe, settled in 4th that I mentioned already. 4 spots lost for Tyler Reddick, back to 26. 3 spots lost for Chris Buescher. Everybody kind of up or down 1 or 2 positions for the most part, outside of those 5 or 6 names that were named. There wasn't a lot of tire fall off in the Xfinity race yesterday, a lot less than what I thought there was going to be, considering that they still have to race over the old surface on both straightaways. And again, corner entry, you're driving down to the bottom of the racetrack into the fresh asphalt. You're already turning, you're already off the gas and braking. And then you just kind of settle in through the middle portion of the corner when you do get to the fresher asphalt. And that's where the tires can be saved a bit, but with not a lot of tire fall off yesterday, there could be a lot of strategy games today to try to get their drivers any sort of track position possible. 60 lap old tires seem to be a little bit too old for the Xfinity side. Both Brandon Jones and Justin Allgaier tried to go fuel only on the last pit stop to leapfrog to 1st and 2nd, but they couldn't hold on for anything. And both ended up well outside the top 10 in their finishing results anyway. Tyler Reddick making a pass on Eric Jones. Looking underneath fellow Toyota driver Ty Gibbs now on the front stretch. Reddick was 5th overall in practice yesterday, and again, he was 1st of the Group 1 drivers, so he's got a lot of speed. He got very loose on entry into turn 1 on his qualifying lap, which is the reason why he qualified outside the top 20 compared to some of the other Toyotas that qualified inside the top 10. Reddick still needs a win to get into the playoffs. His points cushion's pretty good. He's got over 2 full races to the good, but mathematically, we could have 16 different winners to lock themselves in. We can get 3 different winners in these final 4 races yet. So until it's mathematically possible for one driver to point their way in, I'm not going to call Reddick an absolute lock, even though he's in the best situation for points of any of the three drivers above the cut line to get in anyway. So Byron's led the first 17 laps. His gap over seconds now 0.3 to Austin Cindric. Brad Keselowski is 0.6 back in third. Chase Briscoe 2.7 seconds off the lead in fourth. And Larson has fallen off of Briscoe just a bit. He's 3 seconds off the lead in fifth. So top five, the intervals between them in these opening 17 to 18 laps. 2 diecast showings? No, just the one. I did do a diecast showing yesterday. It was a little bit later in the race than what I wanted. It wasn't at the end of stage 2, but I did get to it. Keselowski could be one of those drivers without a win who is in search for the first one that could perform well today. This racetrack was very good for RFK last year, and although they were quick in practice, again, qualifying not so great for Buescher and Priest. Keselowski, on the other hand, did have a good qualifying lap. He actually got really loose on his second lap and bailed, so he had to take the first lap, which was good enough for him to qualify in fifth rather. Top five, got 2 spots off the initial start to get the third, and he's not going anywhere. He's keeping up with the 2 cars in front of him. You get Keselowski some clean air, and you wonder if that would be enough for him to set sail and maybe pull away in this one. He's been good on the ovals in the summer months. I mean, you look back to Pocono Raceway, he was leading. You never know if he could have won that race had it not been for a pit road mishap. Pitting when pit road was closed while leading, he surrendered the lead to Briscoe, and Briscoe led every other lap the rest of the race after that. That could have been the 6 team that day, but it wasn't. So they're left in a situation where they still have to win to get into the playoffs after how sluggish of a start they had those first dozen races or so. So many good runs can lead to another, and when you're running this good this early, if you're Brad Keselowski, you have to be thinking, we've got a legit shot today. But now it's time to execute from here, maintain track position with the pit strategy. Brad behind the wheel can't make a mistake, and we'll see if he can put it all together. So we're 23 laps in. It looks like they'll be going to a commercial break for the first time on USA Network. This is the first race on the USA Network this season. Both the USA Network NBC broadcasts will be taking us to the end of the NASCAR Cup Series schedule for this season. As usual, CW still carrying all the Xfinity races and Fox carrying all the truck races, but final broadcasting change for the rest of the year on the Cup Series. Byron's extended his lead just a bit over Cindric, who seems to be fading the longer the run goes, and Keselowski's putting more and more pressure on him for second. Brad taking a peek to the inside on corner entry into turn 1, hanging on the left rear corner panel. Cindric looked like his car was moving around just a little bit through the center of the corner. Brad tight on the left rear exit of turn 2. They're side by side. And it looked like Cindric overdrove the entry into turn 3, wiggled a little bit more like he did on the other end of the speedway, and Keselowski's up to second. Rest of the top 5 have not changed in the running order since about the 4th lap of the race. Curious to see if Cindric starts to, on back to monitor the lap times for Cindric. The last lap he ran a 24.2, which was the same as Briscoe. He was a few hundredths slower than the 19, but wasn't that far off. Fastest lap for a race leader, William Byron, was lap 7, where he ran a 23.813. The last lap he ran was a 24.07. So less than 0.2 of a second off of the fastest lap of the race as we're at lap 30. So, again, not much tire wear today. The handling can still change on a car throughout the course of the run, even though the tires themselves aren't necessarily falling off. As the track will get rubbered in, you'll probably see more of that being the case here in this first run than what we will later in the race. Once, we get hundreds of laps in and the track gets rubbered up enough to where there is maybe more grip there was on a clean racetrack at the beginning of the race. Track being swept off before the race starts, clearing any debris that could have been laying around from overnight or late from the Xfinity race yesterday afternoon. So most of that rubber washed off for the most part. Not completely green, but close to it. Good weather for this weekend in Iowa as well. A lot cooler for this race this year. This race took place in the nighttime last season on a Sunday night, but Sunday afternoon in early August for this year. This race also took place in July last season, so pushed back a bit on the schedule. So with 3 spots gained for Keselowski. See if anybody else has gained 3+ positions. Chastain up 3 spots to 25th. 4 for Gillen to 30th. And Kyle Busch still up only 3 positions in 34th. Again, just not a lot of movement. Byron getting into lap traffic as he puts Cody Ware a lap down. I believe Joey Gase is also off of the lead lap. And there's quite a few more lap cars that are not that far in front of the 24 as well. Noah Gragson is the last car in the lead lap, and Kyle Busch obviously right in front of him, who started deep in the field. Couldn't qualify because of having to go to the backup car. Qualifying well yesterday, definitely going to be important. It makes the race a little bit easier on the strategy side of things, knowing you already have track position. Now you just got to manage it, keep it. Can't make any mistakes on pit road. And again, this first stage, for fuel purposes, they will not have to pit. May see teams go off strategy with a caution to pit anyway. But I'm not going to expect there to necessarily be pit stops during every caution today because of the lack of tire fall off. So lap time is kind of trading back and forth between our top 2 since Keselowski had driven his way up to 2nd. Both ran 24-1s that last lap were Byron and Brad. 10th faster still than Cindric. Top 10 rundown halfway through this first stage already has William Byron in the lead, Brad Keselowski in 2nd, Austin Cindric 3rd, Chase Briscoe 4th, Kyle Larson 5th, and Ryan Blaney in 6th, Carson Hocevar 7th, Chase Elliott 8th, AJ Allmendinger 9th, and Denny Hamlin in 10th. New tire changer for Blaney's crew. Oh, rear tire check. I read that so wrong. Keselowski's reeled in Byron. Byron doesn't have as much of a clean air advantage anymore. Now he's catching some heavier lap traffic. He's got a whole line of cars in front of him. And he hasn't really altered his racing line on either end of the racetrack. Keselowski's only about a car length and a half back at the start-finish line that last time by. There's some side-by-side lap traffic up ahead as well. Kind of taking up both lines. Now we really get to see how good Byron's car is in traffic compared to the 6. The 6 has already made 3 passes, so you'd imagine with the pressure he's putting on the 24 and the passes already made that Keselowski's probably better in this situation than Byron. We could see a pass for the lead shortly. Cindric's only about a 1/8 of a second gap back. Keselowski hot on the heels of William Byron. Off turn 2, looks to the inside through 3 and 4. Byron going to get a little bit better drive off. Brad slipped the rear tires a bit as he came up off the fresh asphalt back onto the old on the front stretch, so he couldn't hang side by side before getting into turns 1 and 2, but rolls right back to the bottom again. Clean air on the nose of the 24, who's struggling to get by the 4 of Noah Gragson. Can't get enough momentum on him to get going forward. Keselowski again looks low. If he can just stay underneath of Byron by corner exit, he can utilize the side draft and try to get him down the straightaway. Stay alongside into the next corner and then make the pass. Noah Gregson's not going to give up this lap very easy either. There's 30 laps to go in the stage, but he's going to do what it takes to try to stay in the lead lap to the end of the stage. or hold these guys up enough that he would be the first car lap down if he does get past. Keselowski trying a wider line now through turns 1 and 2. He's got a big run down the back stretch. And he's going to pull out a line looking to make the pass on Byron. He's got his nose out in front of the 24 through the center of the corner. He can't clear high on exit. And more straightaway speed again to that 24 of Byron, who holds on once more. Austin Cindric closing in on the top two. He's within a half a second of the lead all of a sudden. And Briscoe, who was about 3 seconds off the lead not long ago, is only a second back because of the leaders not being able to get by the lapper of Gragson. Kyle Busch is the next lap car right in front of the 4. This is where it's got to be really frustrating for Byron, as he has so much pressure behind him. Car's starting to stack up on the lead lap, and he just can't mount a charge. You can tell the lap time is slower because Byron and Keselowski were both running 24.1s, 24.2s, and since getting behind the 4 car, now they're running 24.6s. Keselowski off turn 4 that time was able to at least hang on the front stretch underneath of Byron's race car. Not going to be able to complete the pass through 1 and 2, but they are still side by side down the backstretch into 3. Ty Dillon running way up the racetrack, trying to protect his position on Kyle Busch. That backs Gragson up a bit more, which is also going to back up the leaders. "24 laps to go in stage 1, this time by. Byron pulling to the inside is going to attempt to try to lap Gragson, this time through 1 and 2. Got to make sure you don't make a major mistake in trying to make a pass, because that could cost you too. Oh, and speaking of mistake, contact between Stenhouse and Ty Dillon in front of the leaders. They still back everybody up. Byron couldn't get a run off turn 4 to stay with the 4 of Gragson. He does not make the pass. And that opens up an opportunity through 1 and 2 for Keselowski again. But Brad cannot complete the pass. Kyle Busch, Noah Gragson, door to door, right in front of the leaders who are side by side for the lead. There's also a couple cars of Stenhouse and Dillon side by side again in front of the 8 and the 4. This is getting nuts in front of the leaders. Stenhouse goes wide again. He overdrives the entry to turn 1. He's going to fall off the lead lap. All the leaders going to get by. Byron holding on barely on the 6. Keselowski slips the rear tires off turn 4, loses several car lengths. And less pressure now on the 24 of Byron yet again. Base Tugboat 2675, JoJo, thanks for tuning in. Pete Creamer, another JoJo, also welcome to the stream. Watch a baseball game at Bristol, but can't see this race. Well, that stinks. It's on USA Network if you're wondering, for visual purposes again today. NBC's graphics are the same as Prime. I haven't paid that close of attention, honestly. Yeah, maybe Prime was just NBC 2.0. Doing NBC better than NBC. So, full screen commercial break with less than 20 to go in the stage, which I'm surprised that they decided to pull a full screen commercial break right now, but that is what is currently airing. We'll go through the full field leaderboard, lap 53 of 70 in this opening stage. William Byron's led every lap so far after starting in second, getting to the lead quickly on Briscoe. Brad Keselowski's in second, Austin Cindric third, Chase Briscoe fourth, Ryan Blaney in fifth. Kyle Larson is sixth, Carson Hocevar seventh, Chase Elliott eighth, AJ Allmendinger ninth, and Justin Haley rounds out the top 10. 11th for Denny Hamlin, Michael McDowell 12th, Bubba Wallace 13th, Alex Bowman 14th, and Christopher Bell 15th. Josh Berry 16th, Joey Logano 17th, Austin Dillon 18th, Tyler Reddick 19th, and Shane Van Gisbergen in 20th. Ty Gibbs 21st, Cole Custer 22nd, Shane Smith 23rd, Eric Jones 24th, Ross Chastain 25th, Riley Herbst 26th, Chris Buescher 27th, Daniel Suarez 28th, John Nemechek 29th, and Todd Gilliland 30th. Ryan Preece 31st, Ty Dillon 32nd, Kyle Busch 33rd. Noah Gragson finally went a lap down. He's in 34th. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 35th, Cody Ware 36th, Joey Gase 2 laps down in 37th. Kyle Busch now right in front of the leaders. 15 laps to go in stage 1 this time by.
And continues to lead and fend off, hold off Brad Keselowski. Meanwhile, trying to put Kyle Busch a lap down. Back up car for Busch. The Cheddar's on board. Tell us more, Dave.
And Lee, his crew chief Randall Burnett told me the worst fear that we have is getting lapped early. There's the leader right there on Kyle's tail, William Byron. He said he's going to have to go hard, but we have to get the car right too. This is the radio from Kyle.
I got you, pal. Left front's not working. Overshot it inside.
That was Randall responding to Kyle Busch. It's too tight, and you can see right now, he's about to get lapped.
So 14 to go. He wants to hold up to 24 as long as he can, even if he can't stay on the lead lap. Because if he can hold the 24 up long enough that he can't get by the next car up the road, the 10 of Ty Dillon, that's the free pass for Kyle Busch. Jeff, you and I go back and watch these races in review, and it can be one position all the way back at lap 56 that makes or breaks an entire day for someone like Kyle Busch, who has started from behind in this backup car.
Yeah, and they said they overshot the changes. Made the car too tight. Well, they wrecked yesterday because they were too loose, right?
I would overshot too.
Yes, I mean that's makes it difficult to make the right decision.
So you heard Steve mention that the 8 is a backup car. The reason why is Kyle suffered a really brutal crash yesterday in practice. It was abrupt, it was fierce, and it was not much fun. Boom.
Right. You saw all day in practice. Drivers really struggled keeping rear grip in the back of the car on corner entry, and Kyle's came around on him, and he just could not save it, Kim.
Yeah, and he's going to be William Byron in the lead. He's got pace, but the balance of that car is going away. Here's what he told the team on the radio.
Really tight on the long run, brakes are not good.
You're going to say tight on the long run. The team said we think it is an air pressure related issue that's causing your balance issues. But you heard him say that the brakes aren't great. Jeff, he didn't really elaborate any more than that. So what could he be feeling in the car to just give a generic the brakes aren't great comments?
Well, it's a difficult racetrack, Steve, for brake selection because it's a short track, but it's an intermediate. Like, which is it? And so it's easy to not hit that package exactly correct. So you may have a problem with enough friction. You may have a problem where you don't have a full pedal, meaning you go to the brake pedal and it moves a little bit before it starts to stop. So you don't have full braking power. So the only thing they could do is maybe make a change in their cooling as the battle for the lead heats up.
William was very quick to praise and thank his team yesterday post-practice, pre-qualifying. He said, I was having a brake issue, but the team were able to get me ready for qualifying and kind of rectify that to the best of their ability. Qualified, obviously, very well on that front row.
That's what I'm wondering. They had a spongy pedal yesterday
Yeah.
that they fixed. So without more descriptor, I would say the same issues returned. That's how I would take that if I was running Fugal.
Dave?
Lee coming up on pit stops in just a few laps as we watch this battle for the lead. There goes Keselowski to the bottom.
Make it 7 to go. And this battle just is endless. It's awesome here at Iowa Speedway.
It's easy to get underneath him in the middle of the corner. It's hard to make the pass on corner exit. Keselowski needs more forward momentum up the racetrack there.
And the 24 just needs to make sure it doesn't overdrive the middle of the corner because CJ Majors encouraging his driver Brad Keselowski from the top of the roof. But, the William Byron just needs to make sure that Brad can't gas it up with having that outer line clear.
45 races since Brad Keselowski went to victory lane. So that's what's driving this run right now, this encouraged, inspired run, and continuing this momentum. As we go back to Dave Burns. Dave, let's finish that story you started before about Chase Elliott.
Well, fans will recognize that pit road map they take down pit lane before the green to get an idea of whether or not they'll be speeding when it is time to pit. This was Chase Elliott's radio right after that.
We spent those last two sections on pit road. Any thoughts on that? This last fair bit, we get a plan to adjust it down here.
So Alan Gustafson realizing they were too fast. I've heard up and down pit road, several others were speeding. Steve, what adjustments do the teams make in this case before pit stop?
Well, what I would do is I would just give my driver a different target on his lights on the dash. There's a curve on those last couple sections, so you would probably speed up. Normally over a curve, you can run a little bit faster time over distance. So sounds like that's what he was saying is, hey, Chase, we're going to give you a different target when you get to that final curve on pit road.
This battle for the lead, Brad Keselowski has changed his tactic. He has gotten higher on the racetrack. He consistently has been trying to pass William on the bottom. Now he's used the top lane to get momentum.
Yeah,
And makes it happen.
finally, Keselowski finds a way through to the lead, and here comes Austin Cindric. So for those 67 laps led, and just like that, William Byron loses 2 positions.
What a great job by Brad to recognize, hey, what I'm doing is not working. I'm not going to be able to get by continuing it. So he moved his line. He got up the racetrack. That allowed him to have all that forward momentum getting into turn 3, trying to combat it. William Byron drove in the corner just a little bit too deep. Back of the car came around. Keselowski got the lead.
1 lap to go in this stage. Presented by Credit One Bank. That battle went on for 42 laps. Incredible. The patience, the persistence, and it's going to pay off for the driver of the 6. In the lead at the right time. First stage win this season for Brad Keselowski in the RSK Racing Ford, the Saltman Plumbing Machine. What a start here in Iowa.
I love these names too. Allmendinger 9th, and how about Justin Haley down there at 10th? Great run so far for the 7 car.
And all 3 Spire cars that had a really good first stage as well. But stage 1 belongs to Brad Keselowski here in Iowa.
I'm pretty sure that all 3 Spire cars were in the top 12 at the end of stage 1. Yep, top 12. Brad Keselowski, stage 1 winner. Austin Cindric in 2nd. William Byron 3rd. Ryan Blaney 4th. Chase Briscoe 5th. I didn't even realize Blaney got by Briscoe, but he did. Kyle Larson in 6th. Carson Hocevar 7th. Chase Elliott 8th. AJ Allmendinger 9th. And Justin Haley rounds out the top 10. 1 point per position and a playoff point to Keselowski if he does end up eventually qualifying for the playoffs. He would need a win to get in. Brad comes into the day 24th in points. It's the first stage win of the season for Keselowski. Off to a pretty good start. Qualified 5th, 4 spots gained. Took 67 laps to get to the lead. But he got it done. 3 Fords up in the top 4 spots. Keselowski, Cindric, Blaney, all in the top 5. Byron, the only Chevy up there, and Briscoe, the only Toyota. Dean Tate, welcome to the stream. There's just over 50 people in the chat. We have hit our like goal of 50 likes for the first 3 streams of the weekend. First 2, excuse me. Trucks were off this week. We should easily get to 50 again for this Cup race just because the Cup races are longer, so the streams are going to be longer. Gives us more time to be able to do so. So we'll see if we can double that. Maybe get to 100 by the end. So 140 laps today for stage 2 and stage 3. So double the length of what stage 1 was. We're about to see our first pit stops of the race. And when pit road opens, you'll get to listen into those reports. It's the Iowa Corn 350, so go figure that they're showing a lot of corn. Giant cornfield.
We're in the stage break action on pit lane. Let's kick it off with Marty Snyder. Marty?
Well, Lee, it almost took him half the stage to make it happen, but the first playoff point of the year for Brad Keselowski with a stage 1 win. He said final speed is excellent. Like stage 1 forward, leading the run.
You see William Byron dumping and stopping in the middle, Frank rolling, finishing time, Hank on rolling the center of square. The 6 killed me. Said 4 fresh Goodyear tires, air pressure adjusted. The 2 also tight off pit road.
Bad pit stop for Keselowski. They lose 3 positions on pit road. Same for Cindric's crew, also back 3 spots. Up 4 for Chase Briscoe, narrowly winning the race out of the pit lane. Byron second, Blaney third. A lot of hard work to go from 5th to 1st for Keselowski in the first 67 laps before leading the final 3 under green in stage 1. And now we'll see if he can do the same thing again from about 4th place this time for stage 2. We'll have twice the laps to get there. Now, I'd imagine because these guys have to pit for fuel purposes, they're going to try to run this out as far as they can. We're not going to see a lot of teams necessarily split the stage in half like we did back in the usual races this season. Don't want to go a lap down on a short track. Might even lose 2 laps depending on where you're at in the field if you end up pitting under green in comparison to the leaders. How hard it is to pass both with lap traffic and lead lap cars, I would imagine it's going to be kind of a luck game as to where you're going to cycle out of the pits. If everybody equally has a pretty decent stop, can get on and off a pit road with no mistakes. Just have to hope that you cycle out on the racetrack with clean air and nobody in front of you, because if somebody's in front of you, it's going to slow you down that much more. More so than maybe pitting earlier versus later, one driver over another. Not going to be able to make up much time on the fresh tires, I'd imagine. Only saw a few tenths of fall off through those entire 70 laps in stage 1, which went caution free. This is our first caution of the day. Very quick first stage with it being caution free and only 70 laps. Only took us about a half hour to get there. Again, first stage win of the season for Keselowski. We'll take a quick break and await the commercial break to finish out. Stage 2 will be starting shortly. You're listening live to the NASCAR Cup Series live commentary stream at Iowa. Definitely a lot of racing action still to go today. As our live commentary coverage continues of this race. Had 9 cautions in the Xfinity race yesterday, which was only 250 laps. Only 1 with the stage end alone so far, lap 76 and counting. I don't believe the field got the one to go signal that time. I would imagine Keselowski being close enough to the left rear corner panel of William Byron's car, getting into the corner, got Byron a bit loose on entry because of the aero deficiencies on that rear spoiler more than anything. Brad didn't touch him. He was close, but he did not touch him on his pass wayward by the 24 car to get to the lead and win that opening stage. Larson in 5th, waiting to pounce. I don't really think there's going to be a lot of necessarily waiting today. It's just going to be so hard to make any passes. These teams are dialed in with where their cars are, and it's going to be dictated on where you're at the running order as to whether or not you're going to have a good day. Qualifying meant so much yesterday, and especially at this very short opening stage. Same can be said for the stage point side. Chase Elliott does not get any stage points in stage 1. And William Byron got 8 points for finishing 3rd. Byron came in 4 points below Elliott in the regular season title fight. Penalty for Alex Bowman in the pits, so he will be lining up at the tail end of the field for the restart. And Kyle Busch, by the way, got the free pass, so he's back on the lead lap. He was the first car lap down at the stage caution. Try AdBlock Plus. Dump the ads on web feeds. Yeah, there has been some here on NASCAR.com, I think. That's all right. I mean, it doesn't bother me, honestly. They're not taking up the mainstay of the screen, excuse me. Yeah, we're good. I'd say that could be a big points hurt for Alex Bowman, but Buescher and Preece are well outside the top 10 as well. So 3 of the 4 drivers around the cut line in points not having a great day. And even Tyler Reddick, for instance, qualified outside the top 20, and he's still in 20th. So the 4 bubble drivers for points purposes all having difficult performances so far. Pretty lengthy stage caution so far. Should be going green this time, though. Be at lap 80. This will be 9 laps spent under caution. Pace car pulls onto pit road. Briscoe Byron front row yet again. Briscoe won the race out of the pit, so he is a control car. He was on the outside of row 1 initially on the start. He's going to do the same for this restart. Much better launch, and he gets well out ahead of the 24 car before getting into the first turn. Ryan Blaney on the outside of Byron now looking for second place. Luckily was in that outside line. Byron runs up the track, maybe slight contact with Blaney. Byron got a bit loose, which is what caused him to go up the racetrack in the first place. There's minimal contact at most between those two. Byron gets loose again off of turn 4. And Brad Keselowski's under him for third. Blaney to second. Briscoe leads. Gaggle of cars in the middle of the pack scrambling around for position. 3 wide around Reddick, Chastain, and Jones. Keselowski, Byron up at the front of the field in that battle for third are still side by side. Byron loose off turn 4, though. Same for Keselowski, maybe even more so for Brad. Blaney dives low, looking to get by Briscoe, who just doesn't seem to have the fire-off speed today. Remember, he lost a couple positions in the early laps of stage number 1. Failed pass attempt by Blaney will open the door up for Byron to get an advantage as he cleared Keselowski off 2. Dive bombs to the inside of the 12. Can't complete the pass there. Now Byron wiggles. And Blaney holds on for position number 2. Cindric and Larson are side by side just behind this set of cars that are battling for second. Keselowski back underneath the 24 for a second time on this short green flag stint. Keselowski about a lane off the bottom, trying to maybe run the 24 car a little bit wide while still racing him clean. Side drafts left rear corner panel end of the front stretch, dives off into turn 1 yet again. Can get his nose out in front of the center of the corner, but he's nowhere close to clearing by the exit. And these guys have been side by side for about a lap and a half already. So Blaney had 1 run at Briscoe. Briscoe was able to play enough defense to hold on to the lead. And it seems like maybe the 19 team's starting a little bit too low on air pressure, if I had to guess. Considering that he isn't firing off very well, but as the run goes on, he's able to just kind of settle in. He doesn't get any positions back necessarily to say that he's good on the long run, but he's better than what he is on the short side, which is very strange because he qualified on the pole. So you'd think that there would be some semblance of short run speed there. The one little block that he had on Blaney, though, was enough to kind of space everything out behind him a bit. Keselowski, Byron running side by side for a while. They're falling quite a ways off the top 2. Brad even wider through the center of 3 and 4. Just not giving Byron a lot of room to work with. He's just trying something different to complete this pass. He is probably frustrated because he had so much of a hard time trying to pass him in stage 1, and now he's having to do the same thing again after his pit crew lost him a few spots in the pits. Kyle Larson was able to get by Cindric for 5th on the restart. He has closed in on the side-by-side battle between the 24 and the 6 car, and Larson looks low after Keselowski failed to make the pass on Byron yet again. So Larson now in contention in that battle in the top 3. Keep an eye on Austin Dillon in the 10 car. He's just broken, or in 3rd. He is in the 10th place position. Let me rephrase that again. Austin Dillon, keep an eye on the 3 car. He's just broken into the top 10 for the first time. Now he just made a pass on AJ Allmendinger for 9th. Austin Dillon was top 5 in Group 1 of practice yesterday. Both the RCR cars were. Busch in a backup car, kind of struggling out of the gate. He started deep in the field, but Dillon had a decent qualifying effort. He gained some spots on pit road, and now here he is. He's up to 9th. Just got by the 16. And we'll see how many more spots that Dillon can maybe pick off. He won at Richmond last season. 6 positions gained on the restart for the 3 already, which is more than anybody was able to gain on the restart at the beginning of the race, or I should say the initial start of the race all the way through stage 1. Both the Legacy Motor Club cars have made some good adjustments to their Toyotas. Jones is up 6 spots to 22nd. Nemechek up 8 spots to 18th. St. Smith lost 6. It's quite a few to lose on a restart. See who else who might have gained or lost several positions. Herbst down 4. Buscher down 4. Tyler Reddick down 4 spots again. He's back to 24th. "22 laps into the second stage already. Lap 92 of 350 entirely in this event. Your top 5 runs with Chase Briscoe in the lead. Ryan Blaney 2nd. William Byron in 3rd. Brad Keselowski 4th. And Kyle Larson in 5th. Underdog of the race award, although Austin Dillon's on the move from this last restart. Carson Hocevar has been hanging around the top 10 the whole day. He's currently in 6th. Haven't seen this kind of speed out of Hocevar in several weeks. Had that stretch of road course races, a few ovals mixed in, and those didn't really go very well for Carson. He had a runner-up at Nashville, was his last of probably the better runs he's had. Michigan, he led quite a few laps, but then the tire going down late costed him a lead lap finish, but had speed that day at least. But that was back in early to mid-June for those 2 races. Nemechek gaining a 9th spot now since the restart as he gets by Michael McDowell for 17th. Most positions upward in the running order since lap 80. Ryan Blaney just ran the fastest lap of the race at lap 94. That last time by dropped to 23.807. Bonus point is awarded to the fastest lap of the race as he starts to put a charge after Chase Briscoe yet again. Well, Blaney won the inaugural Cup race at Iowa Speedway last season, trying to go for 2 in a row at this racetrack. And proved that Fords are still the ones to beat on the shorter, flatter ovals, despite Toyotas giving them a run for their money so far this season by winning Phoenix and dominating that race earlier in the spring. Same paint scheme for Blaney in that Wabash set of colors as he ran in this very race a season ago. Brad Keselowski finally completes the pass for 3rd on William Byron, clear up off of turn 4. Great run so far today for Brad. I think speed in the race car, Brad Keselowski is going to be the one to beat, but the pit crew has got to get better. They can't afford to lose a couple positions at a time with how hard it is to pass and expect to get them back every single restart. He's gotten 1 back, but it took him almost 20 laps to do so. And now he's about a second and a half back of the lead where he was after winning stage 1. 110 laps left yet in stage 2. 100 laps complete in the race out of 350. Lead changes. The only caution was the lap 70 stage break. 8 caution laps were ran during that yellow flag period. Well, I was wrong. I guess he had the Advanced Auto Parts colors last season. I thought he had the Wabash colors. False advertisement on my half. That's a disservice to Advanced Auto Parts. I apologize. You guys won the race last year. But yeah, Blaney trying to go for 2 in a row. And as a Ryan Blaney fan, you know, I would be up for that. Why not? Nickname is YRB. Why not RB? That was bad. That was a bad pun right there. Full screen commercial break currently airing right now on USA Network. We'll go through the full field running order. With that being said, Chase Briscoe still out in front. First laps that he's led today after not leading at all on stage 1, despite qualifying on the pole. Better restart this go around. He's led every green flag lap of stage 2. Ryan Blaney's in second, 2/10 off the lead. 1.5 seconds back still for Brad Keselowski in third. William Byron 2.2 seconds back in fourth. Fifth place is Kyle Larson. Carson Hocevar in sixth. Austin Cindric 7th, then Chase Elliott 8th. Austin Dillon 9th, and AJ Allmendinger rounds out the top 10. Bubba Wallace in 11th. Christopher Bell 12th. Justin Haley 13th. Josh Berry 14th. Denny Hamlin 15th. 16th, Ty Gibbs. John Hunter Nemechek 17th. Ross Chastain 18th. Michael McDowell 19th, and 20th is Joey Logano. Zane Smith in 21st. Shane Van Gisbergen in 22nd. Tyler Reddick 23rd. Eric Jones 24th, and Kyle Busch 25th. Good restart for Busch. Up 6 spots. Daniel Suarez 26th. Chris Buescher 27th. Alex Bowman 28th after the penalty on pit road. He's up 4 positions on the restart. Cole Custer 29th. Riley Herbst 30th. Ty Dillon 31st. Todd Gillen 32nd. Ryan Preece last car in the lead lap in 33rd. Then Noah Gragson a lap down in 34th. Same for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 35th. And Cody Ware 36th. Joey Gase 4 laps down, last in 37th. So that rounds out the full field running order. Fastest laps of the day so far. Again, I mentioned Blaney has the fastest lap at lap 94 with a 23.807. Byron and Keselowski right there with him. No surprise, those guys all leading or towards the front of the field. Blaney hasn't led yet, but the other 2 have. 3 different leaders. Blaney trying to be the 4th. Keselowski's closed in a little bit. About 1.2 seconds off the lead now. It was about a second and a half before the commercial break. And that gap is probably going to close even tighter amongst those top portion of the field once Briscoe gets to lap traffic. And that could also create a better opportunity for Ryan Blaney as Briscoe struggled in traffic back forth late in the stage. So while he can't get around it with the 19 car having the clean air right now, that could create more of an opportunity. We just get a few more laps under our way. Probably not going to be long until the pit stops. Or sorry, not the pit stops, but the back of the field. Ryan Preece, who's last on the lead lap, is 18.2 seconds off the lead, and the leaders are running around 24-second lap times. There's a few cars that are already off of the lead lap who would probably be behind Preece as well. I would imagine within the next 10 laps, we'll end up seeing lap traffic. Blaney needs another win. He's only got 1 under his belt. I would agree with you. You know, that would probably help. There's so many drivers with 1 win that the playoff points are going to be so tight. From like 4th all the way back through 13th or however many different winners we end up getting here in these next few weeks. Want to try to create a little bit of separation. Chase Elliott trying to do so by winning the regular season title. That would help, getting 15 playoff points for winning that. Or Byron, who also has one win and is very much in contention for the regular season title. 4-point difference again between those two. Byron has outran the 9 all day so far today. Still got to put the full race together. Long ways to go. We're only about a third of the way home. Blaney running a slightly wider line than that of Chase Briscoe, at least through 3 and 4. A little more than a half a lane wider. Turns 1 and 2 going to do the same thing. He doesn't do that all the way through the corner, though. He kind of rolls in the same line as Briscoe, the middle of the corner, lets the car float up, and then from really the back 2/3 of the corners where he's running with how little bit really there is of that fresher asphalt compared to the old surface. And you might have actually lost just a little bit of time to the leader that last lap. It looked like it went from about a car length and a half deficit to 3 to 4 car lengths off turn 4. Keselowski's still about 1.1 to 1.2 seconds back. He hasn't closed any tighter. Got to see Blaney's win live at Nashville. There you go. There's somebody I used to work with that was at that race too. He got to see him win, and he was like, that was the first NASCAR race I've seen in years. And I'm like, I've only seen my favorite driver win one time in person. I've been to about 40 NASCAR Cup races. And he got to see him win in one of his first. Like, come on. What is that? And he had to drive so far to see it too. Well, not so far, about 7 hours it is from the area I live to get down to Nashville. 6.5, 7-ish. Yeah, Christopher Bell, who was my pick to win this race today, hasn't really been clicking away too many spots. Qualified in 17th. His best lap of the race was still in that first stage. He's up 2 spots to 12th. Pretty much ran around 17th the entirety of stage 1. Trying to make a move on Bubba Wallace for 11th. And actually, he already did. So Bell is in 11th. Now up 3 positions since the restart. Not going to forget about him necessarily if he does start to kind of creep his way forward as the race progresses. And they will have to pit at some point in this stage. We're 20 laps away from halfway in stage 2 if teams were to split it in half. Again, because it's a short track and there's not as much tire fall off, I would imagine these guys try to take it as far as they can on fuel first. So we're probably not going to expect pit stops unless we stayed green for about another 30 laps or so, if I had to guess. 30 to 40. Probably closer to 40. Some teams may try to split it in half and take the gamble, but if you're up towards the front of the field, it's definitely not worth it. Middle of the pack, I guess you have to do something different compared to the leaders. "30-minute ride. It's your home track." Well, that makes it easier. I still find it kind of weird, though, that the only track I got to see him win was my home track at Michigan. I travel everywhere else, and he always has bad luck happen to him. Like when I went to Dega earlier this year, I joked around about it with somebody at work. I'm like, well, I'm going to Talladega this weekend. And then I was like, that probably means that, because they knew I was going. And they were like, "Hey, Blaney's pretty good there. You might get to see him win." And I'm like, "Yeah, probably not because I'm going to be there." And then he wrecks out 50 laps into the race. Like, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. And he had issues at Michigan when I was there. At least he had a top 3 at Texas, but so close to the win that day. I thought he was in prime position. When Michael McDowell was on the inside of row 1 and he was on the outside, I'm like, "Oh, he's going to take the lead, and it's so hard to pass here. He's going to win the race." Michael McDowell beat him. Couldn't believe it. Not just one restart of a lifetime for McDowell when he was able to get by Larson, but 2 to get in front of Blaney as well. Held on until he couldn't. Another full screen commercial break currently airing on USA Network. Blaney has not made the pass for the lead yet. He's about a half a second back is where he was clocked that last time by the start-finish line. Chase Briscoe holding on strong, though heavier lap traffic is to come shortly for that. Definitely going to have to monitor that.
Oh, that top hose. He's talking about shaking. So it would say
The pole sitter just continues to dominate. He's sustained that pressure from Ryan Blaney, and he's in a very good groove in stage 2.
a lot of conversation on the radio about brakes, some investigative reporting here while we were away at break. Just a better shot of both the 24 and the 45. Let's talk about the 45 to begin with. Look at the opening on the right front. A lot of open on that top hose. He's talking about shaking. So it would say they need to cool their brakes less, add some tape. Compare that to the 24. It's a little different because he has a little bit of opening top and bottom. What's really impressive is look at the difference over here. I mean, look how closed up both guys have the left front. So we talk a lot about front to rear. Both of these drivers feel they're not, not a lot of temperature in the left front brake. It's more in the right front. But when I talk about adding tape, I don't mean inches. I mean, that's like small little fractions of an inch. So that's the concern I would have as a crew chief. You add tape. If I only want to cover a half inch more, how precise can you be on a pit stop? I can't have you just slap a piece of tape on there and cover that entire hole.
The battle's all the way around the racetrack. Once again, the leader is called Noah Gregson. Noah putting up a fight, trying to stay in the lead lap. That's going to draw Blaney right into this battle. Blaney trying to get to the outside. And here comes Brad.
This is shades of stage 1 all over again when it was William Byron on the back of Noah Gregson looking for a way through with Keselowski all over him, and Blaney has gone high. And that's opened up the door for Brad Keselowski to slip into second.
That's a great example of how on edge these race cars are. Blaney just overdrove the entry by maybe 3 feet. And the second he did it, the back of the car didn't have grip. These cars are very difficult to drive.
Look, each weekend, Steve and I get spoiled by Jeff, where he takes us for early morning rides in the pace car. And the difference between that newly resurfaced, which is now more than a year old, by the way, those large patches you see at either end of the track. Steve, you were the first to comment on it. When you go off that recently resurfaced onto the older asphalt, it's crazy the difference.
It's unbelievable the difference. And I'm shocked at the difference, how it appears a year later. It's just so difficult to point out what it used to look like. You see the 3 and the 9 on the bottom side by side. Last year, when they repaved the corners, they were basically pitch black, and it was obvious. Now the whole place is bleached so much, it's hard to understand, but those sections in the corner are much smoother.
Boy, that fight that you just saw a glimpse of, Austin Dillon and Chase Elliott, and by the way, Christopher Bell is in this mix as well. There it is, bottom box. This has been going on for probably 30 laps. Dillon and Elliott, and it's kind of shades of the opening stage between William Byron and Brad Keselowski. Just working, looking, different options, different lines, looking for a way by. Let's talk more about Elliott, the Napa machine. Here's Dave Burns.
Lee, that battle for eighth has been fun to watch as you now see Bell coming up behind the two of them. They were told, the ninth driver was told about 5 laps ago that you and the 3 were the fastest on that lap. So they don't want to give it up. They know their cars are very good. Chase on his part was a little bit confused about what he thought about his car early in that first stage. He said, I was off a little bit on what I thought. I really liked it by the end. So very few changes to the 9. Still not running up front, but trying to hold off right now the 3 and the 20 for 8.
Tight at the front. Keselowski has caught Briscoe. And now he's like, hey, I did this in the first stage. Let's try it again in the second.
He would rather not have to. You know, he's trying to make up for a slower pit stop. That's okay early, but you've seen how long this has taken. 67 laps to get up to even battle for the lead. It's clear, right? The best car for me so far, and that's the 6 of Brad Keselowski.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, his teammate is the next car to potentially go a lap down. Ryan Preece in the 16th.
Yeah, they're kind of split all over because Buscher's only running 28, so the loss has got the raw speed out of the pre RFK cars. It is for sure tipped heavily to the 6.
Preece has had a good year. Not a good race so far, but they tend to get better as the race goes on. See Brad Keselowski got tight in the middle of the corner. Here he goes again. This is what he did at the end of stage 1. Got up the racetrack, but he didn't have pressure from behind. He could try something if it didn't work. No big deal, but now he has pressure from Blaney. If he tries something and it doesn't work, Blaney can take that spot.
It's the teammates' bottom box. Kyle Larson on the inside of William Byron for 4th.
We saw the 24 with William Byron back of the car, wiggling, getting into the corner, continuing to talk about brake issues. If you cannot lean on the brakes and trust what the car is going to do, it is going to affect corner entry the most. And the most difficult part of this racetrack is corner entry.
23 of Bubba Wallace on pit road nearing the middle of the stage. As I talked about, if you're going to pit for sure at the end of stage 2, you would break this up in the middle. That seems to be what the 23 is going to do. The 10 of Ty Dillon is also on pit road, Marty.
Trouble tonight told me we're going to take some risky strategy moves at some point in the next 4 races. So this one, all the conservatives, some put the six to it, and you know, working on the outside, it's all way too free. I think that's the question here. It's what minutes exactly, and is that going from 4 to pit road, Steve?
I like the opposite. I actually like running this fuel tank long. You can run about 85 laps before you have to wait on gas. So I would run at least to 85 laps on this run. They're currently at 63 green flag laps, so I'd run probably 20 more. But we will see if those new tires from the 23 is just too much of a risk. The 16 has now decided to jump on pit road for the evenings.
Oh, shot at the little bit this marks. He filled it fast, but the crew had to adjust to that. This will take the off there over time. So the car's on very loose. He'll get 4 steers and adjustments and stuff the fuel.
You gotta be very careful here in Iowa. While it's a relatively not a huge penalty as far as the time on pit road because you run most of a lap.
What is that delta, by the way?
So you lose about 25 seconds plus a pit stop. So call it 35 seconds if you're changing 4 tires. But the lap times are only 25 seconds. So you're for sure going a lap down. But if you're mid-pack, you can go 2 laps down. So you have to be very careful because if you rejoin 2 laps down, somebody blows a tire, that's kind of the end of your day. To try to get back from 2 down is so difficult.
It's battle for 9th. Remember, we saw Austin Dillon a little bit ago underneath Chase Elliott. Austin Dillon made that pass, and he has driven away from Chase Elliott, put 20 car lengths between he and Chase. Austin Dillon has a good car today, fast. Christopher Bell, he's fast every week. He's getting by Chase Elliott. Chase's car later in this run, Steve, is starting to go away from him.
That patience that Austin Dillon employed and displayed was rewarded. It's been some 12 races since Dillon has had a top 10 result. That was way back in Texas earlier this season. So that was rewarded. Now, you've got the JGR Toyota of Chase Briscoe working on Ryan Preece. Here comes William Byron to pit road. And then you've got Preece's boss, Brad Keselowski, ready to put him a lap down as well. Kim standing by. William Byron's coming your way.
Yeah, we heard him talk about that long brake pedal. That was the only complaint about that Chevrolet Type. Let's not run with it. The long run is a struggle. The race simply needs for longevity in this car. Air pressure adjustment, floor pressure, your tires doesn't go. It's the established thing.
It's going to be an interesting thing. I just don't know if one or two cars at a time is going to get these guys off their game. You see Briscoe staying on the racetrack. I really think they're going to continue to run. You know, the 24 is running fifth. I don't think that's enough for Briscoe to kind of jump off his strategy. I think they're looking ahead. Run long here, and then you may not even have to pit at the end of this stage. It sounds crazy, but minimal time on pit road has been the signature of race wins, especially for Briscoe. Remember the mistake they made at Pocono? They actually left before the car was even full of gas, but then he could save gas to get to the win.
Keselowski almost out of the groove, trying to work that outside. He almost jumped the cushion. Didn't quite do it, though, and he got great forward momentum on corner exit. I mean, he was on the ragged edge.
Yeah.
Could not have been an inch higher.
Chase Briscoe has now led the most laps in this race at 75 and has a mirror full of Brad Keselowski.
All right, well, lap 81 of 140 in stage 2, lap 152 of 350 total in this race, just over an hour in. Closing in on halfway already in about another 20 to 25 laps. This race is flying by because of no cautions for incident. The only yellow was still the lap 70 stage end. We're on pace for this race to be less than 2.5 hours in length right now if we continue to stay wreck-free. Chase Briscoe out in front, Brad Keselowski in second. Third is Ryan Blaney. Kyle Larson fourth. Carson Hocevar rounds out the top 5 in fifth, and he got and Justin Haley rounding out the top 10. Now, from that top 10, Byron has pitted already, and then Wallace was 12th when he pit. AJ Allmendinger was around 10th when he hit pit road. Those are the only 3 cars that were on the lead lap that hit the pits. Ty Dillon was already lapped down, and then he hit pit road, so only 3 cars so far have made a stop in the first half of stage 2. And we'll take a quick break here. You're listening live on KRC to the Iowa Corn 350 at Iowa Speedway on KRC. Chat poll ends at the end of stage 2. If you haven't voted yet, be sure to do so. And remember that the Fantasy League will lock up at the end of stage 2 also. Zach, thanks for tuning in. Tell them to race slower. I tuned in at 3:30. Yeah, I mean, it's flying by. It's a very fast race pace, which is usually the case when you have less cautions. But man, I mean, less than 2.5 hours for a cup race. That doesn't happen on ovals very often. Yesterday's Xfinity race was 250 laps, so that timed in, I think, 2 hours and 29 minutes. That'd be insane if this race is shorter than that with 100 more laps. They had 9 cautions yesterday for the Xfinity Series to get to that race length, and again, only 1 so far today. We are guaranteed another yellow, though, at lap 210 when we do get there. Green flag pit stops. Hocevar, Joey Gase, Kyle Larson are in. Chase Briscoe pits from the lead.
Continues hard to know for his car. Maybe 2-3.
After Kyle Larson's going to be the chassis adjusted to his sight center, snapping loose on exit. He was kind of confused about the counts, and it feels like yesterday. A reminder for him to not speed on pit road as well.
Austin Dillon is in the pits from 7th. Michael McDowell on the pit road.
Yes, Kim.
As we see the leader, Chase Briscoe, making a stop. Remember, he has that first box. He said, 2 loose on entry, but getting tight and dirty air. He said, if we can't fix that, it's going to be very hard to pass. If they put those fresh sticker tights on, it takes no good fuel.
It was subpar performance.
Justin Haley is going to pit. He's had a great day so far. He was top 10 at the end of stage 1. Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney still running long on the track. Keselowski leading laps now for the second time today with Briscoe pitting from the lead.
Kill.
As we have Justin Haley, he said it feels like the fronts are coming up.
Chase Elliott's in.
Tires. He did some drivers at the last stops at the end of stage 1 have some early cording, so we will check those tires when they come off Civic Car game.
It's Elliott on pit road now, lost positions 8 and 9 to Dylan and Bell. Slight adjustment here. He said, I feel like I have to lean too hard on it to get my trust in it. He's gone.
I would imagine that Blaney and Keselowski are going to pit sometime soon. We're at lap 91 in stage 2, which is a little over 80 green flag laps because we restarted at lap 79. Joey Logano's in.
Here because Paul Wolf's Brucey told me he was pretty optimistic today, but he has gone nowhere in log in the back of the pack. On that run, he said it was a little bit of losing lateral on it. The tires can't use the horsepower with Joey's comments.
Started 14th today. The reigning Cup Series champion, and that's where he kind of just existed well pretty much all day in the teens.
50 laps to go in stage 2 up to this point. I keep checking my fantasy lineup because I want to make sure I've got the right lineup in for today. I've got to be on it because this is the last usage I have of Kyle Larson this season. Running kind of low on some of the other guys in my lineup that I had stacked. I've been out for William Byron for the last couple of weeks now. I used him up quite a bit this year. Pretty early while he was leading in points for a while. Speaking of Byron, again, he was one of the first cars on the pit road, so really curious to see where he cycles in all of this. He does have Ty Dillon, a lap car in front of him. And the idea on fresher tires, cycle out with cleaner air. Blaney losing time to Brad Keselowski after the lap car on fresher tires of Michael McDowell gets by. First car lap down in 20th is William Byron. Christopher Bell is on the pit road.
We were talking about, Jeff, that would have been a bad time for yellow for McDowell, Dave.
Christopher Bell on the last stop needed a little drip late exit. We knew that. Slight adjustment here because the 20 was actually picking up place, picking it and looking good in the middle of that run.
Keselowski and Blaney stay out for at least another lap. 9.9 seconds stop for Bell with 4 tires. Blaney reeling the 6 car back in just a little bit more. That are still on the track. Ross Chastain on the pit road.
Just feel like it potentially wear a tire all the way through, Marty.
Yeah, it's crazy. You don't normally see a green flag cycle be this long. Remember, Bubba Wallace started this green flag cycle at lap 139.
Wow.
Way later in the run at lap 165, and Ross Chastain hits pit road, has slowly been making his way forward. Car just a little bit too free at the end of the run. Schuster making the call to bring him down. When this Keselowski, Blaney, Sitter, all these guys make their move to pit road, still on the track so far.
It's just a risk versus reward here. I mean, if you pit now, you get trapped a lap down. You're further back in the in traffic. It's harder to pass. That's why drivers are staying out as long as they have. We still have 15 drivers who haven't pit yet, which is quite a few considering that the green flag stop started almost 30 laps ago now. Carson Hocevar making a pass on Denny Hamlin. I'm not sure if that was actually for position or not. I think Hocevar's pitted, but I don't believe Hamlin has. No, Hamlin in 6th on the lead lap. Hocevar lap down outside the top 20 because of the alternating pit strategy. Hocevar is 4th in the running order of those that have already pitted. Joey Logano is the first car lap down. Gets by Ryan Blaney, his teammate. He'll go after Keselowski next. Brad getting really loose getting into turn 1, those older tires. Bell all over the back of Denny Hamlin. Oh, that's tight. 3 wide. Bubba Wallace was trying to sneak underneath the 20. The 20 was trying to get out of the way, did not get picked behind the 11. And we've got problems on the racetrack. Caution's out. Shane Van Gisbergen is around. He hadn't pit yet. He was in the 8th position. Lap 170, right in the middle of green flag pit stops, and that's why you don't want to pit early in case something like that happens. Quite a bit of damage to the left rear of SVG's car.
He wanted a caution. He just didn't want to be in it.
Yeah, running on 8 with the cycle. Let's see. Loose on entry would be my guess.
That's center.
Yes, sir.
It's more center of the corner.
This weekend, that's been the trouble spot. Just a few laps before, Denny Hamlin almost did it.
And this is just, you heard Marty talking about it's rare that you see this big wave of pit stops, but the lack of tire fall off, the length of the track really opened up this opportunity to run long. William Byron will get the free pass, and then a whole bunch of cars will take a wave around. But remember, it's going to be lead lap cars, then lap down cars, then the free pass car, and then the wave around cars. So while you may get your lap back, you're going to give up all your track position.
It's a big advantage for some teams that were struggling a little bit. Reddick talked about struggling. Jones didn't have the speed what he had yesterday. Bowman, he had the pit road penalty. Bush, he actually got a lap down and got it back early.
He was making good progress after that.
But Suarez, Busher, Custer, Priest, all of those, this is a big break for him.
Yeah. And so, remember that McDowell getting back from 2 laps down to 1 lap down? Little things like that are going to make a huge difference.
So first caution, non-stage break caution of this Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol.
So now all the leaders will come to pit road. Everyone you see on the left side, 73 laps on their tires, they'll all come to pit road. Keselowski to Priest, so the top 14.
So far, so good for the driver of the 6. Brad Keselowski answering the challenge of a win is needed to get himself in the playoffs. And he has been at the front of this race, either leading or top 3 for the majority of this Iowa Corn 350.
They cannot have pit stops like they did on the first stop. Cannot give up that many stops.
11.3 seconds.
Cannot give it up.
Here's the RFK crew. Up against Team Penske. Let's go.
Little gap from the cars. That should help the 6 and the 12 maintain their position. Just lap down cars in between.
Coming your way, Marty.
Yeah, Ryan Blaney told Jonathan Hassler it starts off strong, but man, it just goes way too free at the end of the run. I need more stability on entry and exit. Jeff mentioned Brad Keselowski's crew lost him 4 spots in the last caution flat stop. We'll see what they can do here. He said it fired off tighter, but at the end of the run, way too free, Kim.
Gassi going in the left rear of Austin Cindric. They said just a little bit, he said it was better on the long run as they take sticker tires and fuel.
See Austin Cindric go by your screen there, by left to right on your screen. It's been a very productive day for the Talladega winner earlier this season. Can he be in the mix when it counts? Unfortunately for Shane Van Gisbergen and the driver of the Red Bull Chevrolet for Trackhouse, he was the cause of this caution.
So Ryan Blaney going to win the race off of pit road. Keselowski and his team ended up losing 1 spot. Better than the last pit stop that they had where they lost 3, but still fell out of the lead again. Brad able to take control of it on the track, but off the track, that has not been the case for that number 16 today. It's the first caution for incident, and it took place right at lap 170. So now here we are. Less than 40 laps to go in stage 2. I have a little bit of a short run to the next screen white checker. So for the restart, again, it is Ryan Blaney in the lead, Brad Keselowski second, then Austin Cindric, Ty Gibbs third and fourth. Barry Hamlin fifth, sixth, Reddick, Jones seventh, eighth, and then rounding out the top 10, Daniel Suarez, Cole Custer, Alex Bowman, Kyle Busch 11th and 12th. I believe there were 19 cars on the lead lap when the caution came out. Might have even been less than that. Actually, 14. There were 14 cars on the lead lap when the caution came out. Byron gets the free pass. And then Chase Briscoe, Kyle Larson, Carson Hocevar, Austin Dillon, Christopher Bell, Bubba Wallace, Chase Elliott, AJ Allmendinger, Justin Haley, Michael McDowell, Jonathan Nemechek, and Joey Logano all took the wave around to get their lap back, but they're going to be behind all the lap cars and on older tires because they couldn't pit. So they'll try to hold on for 30 to 40 laps, which they should be able to the end of the stage without falling off the lead lap. But definitely cycled further back. It's the risky pay on a short track of pitting early. Byron, Briscoe, Larson, they've all spent a lot of time in this race today in the top 5, and that's not the case anymore. They'll be restarting outside the top 10.
Oh, yeah, they get spirit in a packed house here at Iowa Speedway.
Kevin
Just year
Stallman,
number
thanks
2
for tuning in,
the
by the way.
NASCAR
I
Cup
didn't see you
Series
earlier.
here at this less than
Funny comment, by the way, there. Every man in Iowa should be more like Hank Hill and sell propane and propane accessories.
By pace car.
Federico
So
Sanchez, welcome to the stream.
They chose not to pit. Later was scored behind them. They kind of get their lap back free. So that includes, you see William Byron, Larson, all these guys right here.
If not, the leader would be restarting like a 22nd old racetrack. So they send all those guys.
Let's show you what went down on that latest round of stops.
Kyle Busch blocks in the 48. Kyle right rear hanging out, which is legal. I would have loved if I was the 48, they would have gone a little further in his box. But hey, Kyle Busch did everything he was allowed to do.
Maybe he feels like the 48 got too deep in his box.
Right.
Didn't allow him to get where he needed to get.
I don't know, but I'm going to keep an eye on that.
All right, on to the restart. Ryan Blaney in the lead for the first time today. After winning the race off of pit road, trying to beat Brad Keselowski into the first turn, but the 6 stays to the inside of the 12. The 6 has probably had the little bit more superior race car. So if he can get out to the lead on a restart, that'd be a huge advantage. This time around, 33 laps to go in stage 2. Still side by side for the lead between the 12 and the 6. Blaney leads that lap of the line by about a half a car length or less. For 1 and 2. Nose out in front on the shortest way around the track for Brad, but the runoff corner exit for Blaney. Austin Cindric waiting behind both drivers. 3 Fords, 1, 2, and 3. Nearly tagging the left rear corner panel getting into turn 3 was Keselowski. That was nearly how he got by Byron for the lead earlier back in stage 1. Blaney didn't wash all the way up the racetrack though. And these two are running very tight amongst one another as they try to get that track position. Blaney cleared down the backstretch. And Brad Keselowski is trying to mount another charge to get back alongside Blaney off turn 4. Not going to be able to get there. So the 12 and the 6 have been pretty strong all day today. Also on the right side of the pit strategy with where that last caution came out. Speaking of caution, we've got another one. Cody Ware went for a spin off of turn 4.
12 when the caution came out. Wasn't it? And Cody Ware spinning down the front straightaway.
We went all that time with no caution other than the stage break, and now we've had 2 in quick succession.
So the 12 was leading when the caution came out.
This is an opportunity for a lot of those wave around cars now to kind of play the game of leapfrog. So I do think we're going to see some cars pit on the back half of the lead lap.
Would this be something if Ryan Blaney could go back-to-back here at Iowa Speedway? Long way to go, though, running at lap 181 of 350.
Think of the drivers that caution cycle really helped. You have Bowman, who was caught speeding. He's all the way back up to 9th. Kyle Busch in that backup car was a lap down earlier, got the free pass. Both of them were on the right side, so it's scoring grid on the left side. You see they're running 9th and 10th. Really nice work by both those teams taking advantage.
But the driver of this Cheddar's Scratch Kitchen Chevy, Kyle Busch, even before that caution, was making really good progress.
Yeah, he made up a bunch of slides, struggled early. This is what happened. You see Cody Ware in the back of the pack on the front straightaway, Had trouble on the exit of turn 4. Ended up spinning late. Not a single car incident.
I think the front is going to stay out. Stage is too close. Tires don't really matter.
Stay out at that stage break is all I'm saying.
That's what I'm thinking. That's Randall Burnett. I think what he's saying is correct, which is pit now, take tires and fuel, and in 20-something laps, you stay on the racetrack because you're in a position to only stop one more time. Now, the challenge is, does Blaney and Keselowski think they could stay out at the stage end? Because remember, they pitted under the last yellow. So it's going to be a very mixed up group of strategies. Front 10 are probably going to stay out, no doubt. Who's the first guy to jump to this other strategy? No takers. See, they think all the leaders are going to do it. There you go. Briscoe, all the cars that pitted under green had to take a wave around. There's no reason for these guys not to pit. They have the older tires.
Dave Burns is there, Dave.
In the 9 pit, Chase Elliott said, I'm not scared to lose the positions now. If this is what you think is the right move, Alan Gustafson, let's come in. I am not afraid. They did it. 4 tires, Tim.
Yeah, when this caution first came out, Cliff Daniels, crew chief for Kyle Larson, said, I'm debating on pitting left in radio silent till pit road open on the last second. He said, pit. They are trying to make it on just one more stop after this. They'll take fresh tires as well as the 19 there on the bottom of the street of Chase Briscoe.
Three good stops from the 19 team. And how's it all going to work out for the man who started from the pole? Iowa Speedway turning it on for these Cup Series stars for the second year in a row.
So Ryan Blaney out in front of the field, Brad Keselowski in second, Austin Cindric third, Ty Gibbs fourth, Josh Berry in fifth. 6th for Eric Jones, 7th Denny Hamlin, Daniel Suarez 8th, Alex Bowman 9th, Kyle Busch rounds out the top 10, 11th, 12th, Ryan Preece, Tyler Reddick. And we had quite a few drivers come onto pit road during that caution flag that we are currently under following the Cody Ware spin off of turn 4. That are probably planning on staying out at the end of the stage, so leapfrogging in the track position running order. And if we get enough green flag laps, they'll end up having about 25 laps or so on their tires compared to those who will pit during the stage break. All these drivers in the top 10 staying out, and they're trying to go for points. In the case of Ryan Blaney, trying to win a stage and get another playoff point. Keselowski got his first stage win of the season back in stage 1. Ryan Blaney this year has 5 stage wins, 1 race win. Manufacturer race here. We got 3 Fords, 1, 2, 3. Toyota in 4th. Another Ford of Josh Berry in 5th. The highest running Chevy is Daniel Suarez in 8th. Despite the fact that both Byron and Larson were in the top 5 all day up until the caution in the middle of green flag pit stops for Shane Van Gisbergen spinning. And we've had a couple of cautions now back to back here. Our first 2 yellows per incident in the entire race, taking place within a very short time frame from one another.
We welcome you back to the Iowa Corn 350 powered by Ethanol, and we're on board Denny Hamlin with thanks to Bob's Discount Furniture and this Toyota Camry. Look at how much Denny had his hands full right before the Cody Ware caution.
Yeah, the cars are they're just very difficult to drive. This racetrack's been a challenge all weekend. And remember, that was on fresh tires.
Yeah.
That was on most grip you're going to have all day long right there.
All right, let's get going. Let's get
25 laps to go in stage 2 on the restart here. Blaney Keselowski round 2. Blaney got the upper hand the first time, clearing Keselowski about a half a lap or so before the caution. Green flag back in the air. They were side by side for the better part of about 4 or 5 laps. And another great restart by the 6 on the inside, the 12 on the outside. gapping themselves over what is a side-by-side battle right now for third between Josh Berry and Austin Cindric. Ty Gibbs lost a spot on the outside of row 3 to the 21. Cindric cleared for third out of turn 4. Berry clears high in front of the 54, and Gibbs and Jones are still side-by-side for sixth. Also side-by-side for the lead is Keselowski and Blaney. Brad K trying to run up the racetrack, force Blaney into a lifting position. That does not happen. And some of the drivers on 4 fresh tires back in the pack trying to make up some ground and be the highest in the running order of those that did pit so they can restart in the lead. A little later on, Blaney leads this lap at the line, but it'll be Brad Keselowski on corner entry into turn 1, throwing his car off deep, sliding up clear of Blaney, who was very loose on entry into the corner. Blaney could not carry as much speed through turn 1, so Keselowski back out in front yet again today. I believe the third different time that the 6 car has led. And he's got quite a distance over Blaney, who lost a lot of time after that one mishap. He only lost 1 position, but he's already over half a second back of the 6. So wait for our leaderboard update. There it goes. Brad Keselowski 0.2 of a second ahead of Ryan Blaney in second. Austin Cindric 1.1 seconds back in third. Josh Berry 1.4 seconds off the lead in fourth. Ty Gibbs is 1.9 seconds back in fifth. And Alex Bowman 2.3 back in sixth. 2.5 seconds off the lead for Eric Jones in seventh. 2.8 seconds for Denny Hamlin in eighth. Also for Kyle Busch in ninth. And then 2.9 seconds back. Ryan Preece rounds out the top 10.
What a day. What a comeback by that Cheddar's number 8 for Richard Childress Racing and Kyle Busch.
Kyle needs to get this path because Priest has jumped up on the outside. Look at Kyle just trying it way down in the corner. Trying to get momentum through the middle. It's kind of clear.
I love that. Take it. Needs your clear, but, it's aggressive. Denny's not going to love it, but you need to take it.
It's just how it is today. Just the racing is ultra aggressive.
There is terrific racing everywhere. In the pack, either at the front, mid-pack, in the top 10, in the teens, it's everywhere. Priest almost coming into contact with Denny Hamlin.
Oh, no, that 3 wide on the bottom left. I thought Denny was thinking 3 wide. Now he's driven the thing almost up out of the groove. He's going to lose a spot to the 24 Byron.
Denny is just not comfortable with this race car.
No, he sounded that way in pre-race. He's
Yes.
like, man, I just didn't have a good race last year. I wasn't great practice. I don't have a lot of experience at this track.
On board the Bob's Discount Furniture, Toyota Camry and Denny Hamlin. That's Suarez that you're looking at. Denny's currently in 12th. Marty, talk more about Hamlin.
Yeah, DJ mentioned how the drivers have their hands full of things down the drain. It's been a rough weekend here in Iowa. And Denny Hamlin would echo, yes, it is edgy behind the wheel. Listen to the radio.
Edge. Definitely better. Career grip is 100% better. Still just shattering like crazy.
Yeah, Jeff, I've never heard so many drivers just talk about how sketchy and on edge they are. And Denny Hamlin proves that on almost every run. What's your response? If you give another run, I think that in theory you should have the most grip.
A lot of drivers talking about chattering. What that means, the tire is actually bouncing across the racetrack. And when it's the right rear chattering, it is out of control. Imagine driving on ice. Back of the car is always trying to spin out. Problem is, these guys are doing it about 160 miles an hour.
Well, I wasn't expecting the second half of the radio to be 100% better after the first half of the radio. That just tells you how much work these guys are putting in. Austin Dillon in the 3 car, currently leading the lap 182 brigade. Kind of split strategies, 10 laps fresher on fuel and tires. Not a huge advantage, but just worth pointing out because he is the front of that strategy, currently running 14th.
Dave, what you got?
Well, at the back of the 172 strategy is the orange car of Daniel Switch of the 99. Just checked in with his bunch. He's been pretty happy with the car most of the day, but of course, that strategy getting him where he is now, they don't want to keep that track position. And if it's any indication, remember how good the 3 has been, The 99's running right with it.
That's a really great point, Dave. Jim, the Get Bioethanol number 3 for Austin Dillon. He's proven time and again that if he just keeps chipping away, he can drive his way through, make positions. It's been a really encouraging run for the driver of the 3.
It had been. Carl and Richard Childress several weeks ago made it clear, publicly made it clear on the radio toward the end of a race, we have got to make these race cars better. It's not a race car driver problem, it's a car problem. And they have brought better race cars to the racetrack.
You know, I heard a bunch of people discussing it and writing articles. Well, why would Richard say that on the radio? Because he knows everyone is listening. Yeah, that's a count. Like RC is just a grinder. He has a strategy to everything he does. It seems like there's a decent response right here. Is what is he at? Bush in 8, Dillon in 13.
It helps when you have really strong feelings about a track, and there's lots of positive feelings for Austin Dillon here because he's been coming here for years. He won in trucks here. He raced ARCA. He raced Xfinity Series. Spoke about that. He raced Xfinity as recently as yesterday. So positive vibes, and that's going through. So what's happening? There's Richard Childress. There's his grandfather.
That guy wants to win. He's dedicated his whole life to winning races at the Cup level. And if you think about Richard Childress, many of his counterparts that he raced against as car owners, they're not here anymore. He has found a way to make it and to continue to make stuff happen no matter what changes happen in the sport. You said it. He's a grinder. He's a fighter. He likes his drivers to be that way as well.
Let's have a look at the restart with a focus on the drivers of the 9 and the 5. Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson.
Oh, the 9 makes a wide middle. They get hanging door to door.
Could be an over-aggressive move by Chase Elliott at that point in time.
The way to make it and to continue to make stuff happen no matter what changes happen in the sport.
We're down to 8 laps to go in stage 2 here at Iowa Speedway. And caution is out on the racetrack, and this time it is for Ty Dillon.
The what has happened to the Seabest number 10.
Big damage to the flap rear. Brad Kozlowski had stretched his lead out to over 2 seconds. He also ran the fastest lap of the race about 6 laps ago. So that 6 car has proven to be as fast as we all thought it might look early. Let's see what happens on the outside of 34 of Gilliland. Oh, boy.
Yeah, Todd got loose.
Loose, yeah.
Got loose underneath Ty and had to go up, chase it up the racetrack. And unfortunately, Ty Dillon paid the price.
Ty Dillon's not going to care if Gilliland got loose. Nope. All he knows is he drove in there, leaving the guy to his left a full lane, and he was around backwards.
It's a great shot of it right here. See, right there, the car transitions through the bumps. And Todd just could never turn it, get it to the bottom.
And Ty Dillon, wrong place, wrong time. He told me yesterday how much he has enjoyed this 2025 Cup season, being back full-time in Cup, having commercial partners who are enjoying their time being associated with him. Had a big smile on his face yesterday. That smile won't be there right now. That's frustrating.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Ty stepped it up this year. He's had his best year in Cup.
Yeah.
He really has. He's done a really nice job. Everybody at college could be proud of what he's done. Don't know. I'm assuming he's going to be back in this car next year. A lot of unknowns. What's going on throughout the field, but I think he's earned it. He's earned the opportunity to give this another shot.
Well, and what he's earned is companies like Hy-Vee on the side of that thing and Seabest to say, you know, we want to be a part of this organization, right? Colin Racing has improved enough that I think their partners can see it. You know, they're giving something to bring into those boardrooms and to try to sell. Now, this will be interesting with 5 to go. Pit road should be open this time, I imagine. So we probably will see a couple lap sprint to the finish. But the problem is staying out and winning the stage might be costly in the long run for strategy. I see a lot of mixed calls on pit road. I see a lot of stressful crew chief faces and a lot of pit crews stretching and warming up. I think the 6 stays out. I think he's committed. Oh, yeah, I like that move. A whole lot stuck with him. That's the 10 damage. First car on pit road is Byron.
Hamlin's right with him, and here is Denny's view. Bubba Wallace coming back in. Hocevar ahead of him. Marty standing by, coming your way, mate.
pitting here with 4 to go. Obviously, they won't pit at the end of the stage, but it gets them more in line with the others who pitted before. Hamlin's in the car, just still way too free.
William Byron there on the left hand of your screen. There was some debate on whether or not to come down or stay out. Ultimately, Byron made the decision. He felt like tires could be worse. Something that was asking after what Austin Dillon and Kyle Larson were able to do last on fresh tires. So they think stickers are actually going to help here.
Well, I love that they think stickers are going to help because that means it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. What a dramatically different second stage to stage one. Just that smooth, rhythmic opening stage, good racing, no cautions. And this has been very much a stop-start affair, punctuated by multiple cautions.
We saw the 10 on pit road. I just want to point out NASCAR created what's called a quick yellow, which opens up pit road for both lap down and lead lap cars. They can do that in instances that they want to get back racing quicker. So for that reason, we're going to come to the choose right here with 3 to go, take the green with 2 to go. If they wouldn't have done that, we'd have run around for 5 more laps and finished this stage. Little small things by race control to try to get us back racing. Does make pit road clogged at times. That was a good time, though, with very few cars choosing to pit.
Also, when that caution came out, Zane Smith was the first car a lap down, so he goes around the pace car. He gets back in the lead lap.
All right, we've got a switch on the choose. Last time it was Blaney on the high side, Brad. So this is good. We'll see what difference this brings between these two guys who have seen a lot of each other in this race. Ty Gibbs tucked in behind. Cindric in that familiar 2.
What could go wrong? 2 laps to go.
Let's see. And Kyle Busch right behind Alex Bowman after their most recent pit road kind of frustration with each other.
Well, we know how important track position is, and I know some fans at home may be thinking, hey, why would you put yourself in jeopardy to try to win a stage? But it's about keeping track position, not just winning the stage.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, front row for the restart. We'll have 2 laps to go in stage number 2. Playoff point on the line here for the 12 specifically, because he's already locked into the postseason. If Brad wins today, and whatever playoff points he has would carry over, which he got his first stage win of the year in stage 1. Trying to double down here in stage 2. Green flag back in the air. Good launch for Keselowski on the outside. Ryan Blaney hanging with him just a bit at the end of the front stretch as the field enters turn 1. Larson gets hit from behind by Briscoe in the middle of the pack, was sliding sideways, saved it into the first turn. Up at the front of the field, Keselowski clear off turn 2 by several car lengths over Blaney. Ty Gibbs was loose out of turn 2 as he got passed by Cindric and Kyle Busch, attacking now after the 54 car for 4th. Busch slides the rear tires out of turn 4, and Gibbs is going to maybe hold on here for 4th place anyway. Final lap now of stage 2. Cindric closer to Blaney than Blaney is to Cindric. Hocevar slides sideways, and he goes for a spin. Caution's out again. Here in stage number 2. Brad Keselowski wins the second stage. Ryan Blaney second. Austin Cindric third. Ty Gibbs fourth. Kyle Busch rounds out the top 5 for stage 2. Josh Berry 6th. Alex Bowman 7th. Eric Jones 8th. Austin Dillon 9th. And Ryan Preece rounds out the top 10. Keselowski will sweep the stages today for his first 2 stage wins of 2025. And we have a 140-lap final stage upcoming. As we have reached the end of stage 2 for today's race, it's time for our diecast showing right here on the channel. Oh, hang on. Wait a minute. I got to get my fantasy team updated. I think I waited too long. That's not good because Brad Keselowski was in my garage, I think. Pause on the diecast showing. Yeah, it's locked. Wow, I can't believe I did that. Well, congratulations to all of you playing in our KRC League because Brad Keselowski, who's on my team today, is in my garage after winning the first 2 stages. Bonehead decision by me there. That's what I get for not paying attention. All right, anyway, back to the diecast showing. Ryan Blaney, the defending winner of this race, so I figured I'd show off a Ryan Blaney diecast today. This is his Advanced Auto Parts paint scheme, and this diecast specifically is from the 2019 season, I do believe. No, 2020. It's 2020 season, NASCAR Cup Series. believe this is the only 2020 diecast I do have, but Fans Auto Parts, I mean, that's the sponsor he won with last year, so here it is. Grabbed this just after the race started earlier. Once I realized that he wasn't in the Wabash Ford last season. And that is our diecast showing for today. I know I've rotated through the same diecast a couple of times throughout the course of the year. I only have 49 of them, so with doing these every Cup, Xfinity, and truck race, you're going to see repeats. But needless to say, going with the defending winner for this week. Just trying to take Hocevar out. Yeah, I waited too long to take Keselowski out, or put him in the lineup, excuse me. Problems on my end. First time I've done that, I could hope it'd be the last, but it probably won't be. We'll end the chat poll as well. 96 votes were casted for who you think is going to win today's race. 40% of you think somebody other than Larson, Blaney, or Bell will win. Larson at 29%, Ryan Blaney 21%, 8% taking Christopher Bell, who was my pick to win the race at the beginning. I'm curious to see what the pit strategy is going to look like here for this next stage, because I would not be shocked if a lot of drivers that stayed out during those cautions were saving enough gas and they feel they can make this race on one stop still, and they'll continue to stay out at the stage end and not restart in the middle of the pack to those that pitted specifically about 25 to 30 laps ago that are going to be leapfrogging the field. We had one caution in this race up through about lap 170, and that was a stage yellow at lap 70. And we have now had 4 cautions in the last 40 laps. One of these being the stage end, but 3 for incident late stage 2 as well. It was locked 2 laps early. Well, that's not right. Yeah, pit road is open, and a lot of the leaders do end up staying out. Alex Bowman does not, though. He's in.
Speeding penalty earlier and getting a little hand gesture from Kyle Busch with a little near contact on pit road. Alex Bowman still in the game to make the playoffs. They just need a solid run two there with these last 4 races.
The problem is, if we widen the camera out a little bit, you're going to see him and John Hunter Nemechek all by their lonesome. And what I mean by that is this new world of NASCAR, this new just factor of not a lot of tire grip going away. It is purely a fuel game. It wasn't Pocono. It wasn't Indy. It is at Iowa. And popular or unpopular, that is the current situation. There are 29 cars on the lead lap and 2 cars pitted. Everyone else is on board with 1 stop from here.
These guys have had to be pretty gritty today on this short track experience.
Yeah, Bowman and Nemechek definitely going to be in a tough situation. Tail end of the lead lap. Well, I was right on Keselowski, Blaney, and those guys staying out on the racetrack trying to make it a 1 more stop. The idea here is to get to about 90 to 100 laps to go. Then the fuel window will open up to the end of the race. And I think that's when you're going to start to see guys pit if we get a caution. Obviously, if it stays green, they're going to run it out as far as they can. Because everybody at the very front of the pack didn't pit not only during the stage end, but also during those late cautions in the stage. They're definitely going to have to pit earlier into the green flag run. They can get within the fuel window, but they're probably going to have to split this final stage in half just because they won't have enough fuel to go very far. And if we catch a caution in the middle of green flag stops like we did earlier, it could lead for something crazy. Austin Dillon in 9th, I believe, is the first in the running order of those that have already made a pit stop for those on fresher tires. Dillon, Larson, Elliott, Bell would be the first of those. The top 8 in the running order, a lot less fuel in their cars than everybody else. So Brad Keselowski out in front, Ryan Blaney in 2nd, Austin Cindric 3rd, Ty Gibbs 4th, Kyle Busch in 5th, Josh Berry 6th is going to round out the top half dozen. We'll take a quick break. You're listening live to the Iowa Corn 350 at Iowa Speedway on KRC.
Speedway You're watching the Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol.
I thought they were going to say powered by corn.
Powerball and the Iowa Lottery have teamed up here in the Heartland to give lottery players the ultimate NASCAR experience. From heart-pumping pace car rides to exclusive encounters with drivers like Kyle Larson, Justin Allgaier, Ross Chastain, it's more than just fun. Every $2 Powerball ticket supports programs that make your state stronger. Stay tuned. We'll announce the 16 lottery players advancing for a chance to win $1 million from Daytona on August 23rd.
That's a big Powerball.
Yeah. So that's a great shot.
I'd still come work with you, Jim. You get with a
Of
big
course.
Powerball.
That's how humble you are.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
From a yacht.
there's a great shot. And you know who has a good perspective is our Hall of Famer Dale Jarrett and Marty Snyder. Guys, on the Peacock Pick Box. Great spot.
Def bet the under on Steve showing up for work. That's Powerball. Let me tell you.
Find him on a golf course.
Dale Jarrett hanging out with you here. What's more impressive, DJ, the fact that Brad Keselowski came in with 0 playoff points into the day. He now has 2. Or Kyle Busch, who, yes, the same guy who was down a lap earlier on is now in the top 5.
Yeah, there's no doubt Brad Keselowski's done a great job, but what Kyle Busch and this team have gone through after yesterday, he had a fast race car yesterday. It was just a little too much on the loose side. Got away from Kyle entering turn 1 here, hard into the wall. So immediately, they're creating a backup car out. They keep playing on this whatsoever. So the effort that this team has made, and going to the challenge that Richard Childress presented his team, as Jeff Burton was talking about a few races ago, I believe that was Pocono, that they had to make their cars better. They went overboard in tightening that car up for him to start this race, but he did a great job of battling as hard as he could to be the first car a lap down at the end of stage 1. Got to wave around got to have free pass there, and then did all the right things, made the right calls, and you can see how aggressive he has been in getting himself there in the top 5.
And I'll throw Austin Dillon into that mix as well, Dip. He's in the top 10, so a great day for RCR after a very frustrating day.
Yeah, and it's been some 12 races since Austin's been in the top 10 when the checkered flag has fallen. So it's been a really gritty performance from him. I like what DJ said about Kyle Busch. Is this a Keselowski Blaney day? Who's going to get what is your racing IQ and gut tell you?
Old guys rule. Brad Keselowski won championship in 2012. He wants another one badly.
Stevie?
Everybody at the front, I think the 6 has absolutely the standout car, but we're going to have to see green flag pit stops. You're going to have to execute. We've seen speeding on pit road, and we still have this group of cars that do have a little bit fresher tire. So I don't know if that's going to be an advantage. It hasn't seemed to be yet, but if we get a long run, maybe so.
So real quick before we go back racing, Jeff, year 2, Iowa Speedway, what do you make of it?
Oh, it's been great. This racetrack, I'm not sure I've ever seen a bad race in this racetrack. I'm a huge fan of it. Rusty Wallace, great Cup driver, was part of the design of it, and it has been really good since the day they opened it.
All right, ready to go. Steve and Jeff say the old guys rule. Well, let's see what Brad Keselowski says about that as he leads the field back to green.
Ty Gibbs wants to see what he can do about that as well. The younger guy at the front, him and Cindric, youthful second row. Gibbs still looking at that first win in that monster number 54.
Josh Berry is in the mix. He's tucked in behind Austin Cindric.
Austin Cindric only 26 years old, so 2 young guys going at it for third.
Look at this, 3 wide. Does it become 4? Larson on the outside of Busch. Priest is there in the mix. Busch takes that low line on him and tries to go up and join Josh Berry.
Whoa, Chase Elliott on the outside of Priest. That was tight.
And these 2 guys are together again after 2 separate points of contact. First it was Elliott hitting. Oh, and Denny Hamlin's around. The 4-time winner this year. It had been a challenging day. He said he was constantly on edge, and now he's gone around.
He's in 18th place.
Is what happened.
He starts wild. 4 wide at this racetrack. It's typically not going to work very well. Just not enough room. Contact with AJ Allmendinger. And I think, honestly, trying to keep from spinning Allmendinger out. Almost spun himself out.
The Dinger did a good job to keep it off the wall as well.
There was 2 of them that were going to wreck, and somehow Dinger did.
Middle of 3. Hang on, go there. Hang on.
And he just, when they made contact, then he just turned the car right. He didn't ever like turn it right. In my eyes, he was just looking out for AJ there.
Outside bumper cover, stay down, wreck it, down.
Good job from Michael McDowell to avoid him as well.
It was 30 cars on the lead lap. Well, that's a huge loss of track position from 18th to 30th.
Yes, absolutely.
Party.
Yeah, Jeff, Chris Gale just asked Denny Hamlin, is there anything you need from me so something like that wouldn't happen again? He said, no, I don't need anything adjustment-wise. He said, we were just ping-ponging off of each other. So to your point, that's what happened to Denny Hamlin, not a handling issue at all.
It's 4 wide. Look, this track is wide. It's wide enough for 4 wide, but the groove where the newer asphalt is not wide enough for 4 wide. 3 at the most can get through there and everybody stay in the high grip area of the racetrack. As the racetrack has changed colors, it's hard to tell where the new asphalt is versus the old, but the second you get your tires in that old asphalt, you'll know it as a driver. I can promise you that.
Regardless of the color.
Yes.
Let's have a look at it again.
Wow, they're
Got
4
Ross
wide.
Chastain in that white car down to the right on the inside.
It's just
It's contact. It's not enough.
loose in the corner. Loose in the corner, and he needed a lane to save it, and the lane was occupied. And it's really, I don't make it simple, but that's what happens.
Fortunate, no contact as far as with the wall there. I don't think there's any damage to the 11 car.
We know all too well what a short track specialist Denny is, and his last non-top 5 finish on a short track,
We're outside.
ironically, coincidentally, was here a year ago.
Sorry, Diff. I was going to say we're outside of the fuel window, but that is the norm anymore. We think they go 115. We got to go 126. A couple of yellows, you might be able to make it all the way. So this is his signature, Joey Logano. Why wouldn't you
Yeah.
go outside the window? That's their move all the time. But Jones pitted from all the way up inside the top 10. So I think you're seeing guys saying, hey, this might be our last pit stop. 17 of Busher has a bit of struggle leaving around the 77.
He just had to pause. Here's Chase Briscoe.
And Chase Briscoe, if they weren't going to have a bunch of cars in front of them come, they said, we need to do opposite fuel pump. James Small's telling it's going to be close to his driver, so it looks like they might try and push it on fuel.
Well, let's remember, that's how Briscoe won Pocono. Now, I don't want to take away the type of car they had. They had a great car. But a miscalculation between driver, crew chief, jackman, fueler, the car leaves about 2 seconds short on fuel. Briscoe does an amazing job of keeping the lead while saving gas, went to victory lane at Pocono. We'll see if the gamble pays off here at Iowa.
One more look at how Denny Hamlin went around, and AJ Allmendinger kept it out of the fence.
Cautions breeding cautions here at Iowa Speedway. Brian Zion-Top, thanks for taking the time to donate the $20 super chat down in the comment section. Greatly appreciate that. So shout out to you yet again. Thank you for tuning in every weekend. I mean, you again, I say it every weekend, you know, thanks to each specific one of you that I see in the chat, because that's the only way I can tell who's actually watching the races as they are going on. But I do that because if it wasn't for you guys watching every weekend, I wouldn't really be able to do this every single weekend. I'd probably be working more hours at my work when overtime is applicable. I have been pulling a lot of OT shifts lately. So that way I don't have to work on the weekends and we can watch some racing together along the way. Take care of my boy Keegan, and then my boy Denny spins out. Well, that's tough. Yeah, thanks for always doing a great job week after week in California trout fishing. Still get your NASCAR. Thanks to Mr. Keegan, really appreciate you. Well, I appreciate you too. That means a lot. So right on the edge of the fuel window to make it to the end from when this caution flag just came out. Some of these teams topped off. I think if we see another caution immediately after this next restart, we're probably going to get a large majority of the field coming in during the next caution, and those guys can leapfrog. If we stay green for a long enough period of time, I don't know that staying out on like 60 to 70 lap older tires is going to necessarily be the play at that point. I had an ant. I had to kill an ant. Oh, I missed him. I don't know where he went. You! I found him. He went under my bed and I missed him. I'll find him later. Green flag's back in the air at Iowa Speedway. Brad Keselowski out in front. Set sail on Ryan Blaney on yet another restart. Austin Cindric in third. Josh Berry, Ty Gibbs battle for fourth. 3 wide off of turn 4, a little further back, couple rows of it. Austin Dillon, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, another 3 wide battle just behind them with Daniel Suarez, Christopher Bell, and William Byron. Remember, Dillon and Elliott kind of lead that brigade of cars that have fresher tires. Another caution at the back of the pack, and now it's Zane Smith backing it against the fence in turns 1 and 2.
A week ago, there was contact from the 20. Now here, another accident around 122 to go.
Yeah, Spencer sat down with Zane Smith the other day talking to him, and he's excited about the speed of this car, but just cannot finish races as of late. Remember, he just got back in the lead half a couple restarts ago.
Here's what happened.
Big smack up. Oh, who is that?
Who was that?
I couldn't tell.
Oh my gosh, he got really.
I don't want to assign blame yet. All right, who's this car that comes into frame right here?
That's Hocevar.
It is. It's so small.
I felt like it was a 77, but I needed to see confirmation before I gave it to Mr. Excitement. Let's go on board. Snooze, much like we saw Todd Gilliland, Danny Hamlin. You know, that's not Hocevar being aggressive. That's just what we've seen. Unfortunately, Zane Smith isn't going to agree, but he's chasing the car all the way up into the 38. Which call? The Hurricane? That was,
Yeah.
I like that. Good nickname.
Yeah, I've seen this over and over all week. Just look at corner history, and Zane is the victim.
We were on board with the 11. He goes, I know how that feels. I've seen it. I've felt it.
Done it multiple times.
Yeah. Zane was running, as Steve mentioned earlier, Zane was running so well last weekend in Indianapolis until he got tagged by Christopher Bell. I want to give a shout out to Christopher because he told our Dustin Long that immediately after the race, he went to Zane Smith's crew. They were busy loading up, but he apologized to every crew member, and he said he was super nervous because he wasn't sure how he was going to be treated by the team. But he said, I wanted to be accountable for something that I did, and I took Zane out of a good finish.
He said he was nervous he was going to get yelled at. In the back of my mind, I was thinking, that was the good option. I didn't know what option 2 was, but big decision here. I think this is that moment that every crew chief was nervous about. You're right at the fuel window. I don't see any way to hold the entire field. Everybody who comes to pit road, the guys that should stay out maybe are the ones that think tires matter or ones that were just on pit road. Split decision at the front. Brad Keselowski, I actually like this choice. Way less takers than I thought. Only 2 guys on pit road. I thought we'd see the whole field.
Dave?
How about the recovery for Kyle Busch here? They decide they are going to go for it in this way. The car has gotten much better. And you think about what they've done, Marty. They've turned this weekend around for Kyle so far.
According to Jeremy Bullins, they were in no man's land. That's because they did not get it full the last time for Brad Keselowski. So they were going to have to come at lap 255 or so. So here they hit with 119 to go. They told Keselowski, we are going to be close to making it to the end of the race here, but they felt like this was their only move. The rest of the leaders who stayed out, they can still run about 50 more laps if they need to.
How is this going to affect the day of the man who has won the first 2 stages, Brad Keselowski? Unfortunately for Zane Smith, his day is over.
We had 1 caution for the first 170 laps of the race. And again, that was the stage yellow at lap 70 at the end of stage 1. And then fast forward now, we've had 6 cautions in the last just over 60 laps. Lee Diffie stated on the broadcast already, a lot of start-stop action going on, and surprised we didn't see more cars hit pit road this caution, especially with drivers pitting during the caution just before that. Got about another 50 laps worth of fuel, or maybe even a little more than that with all the caution laps ran, for those that have not made their final stop yet. Those that have pitted already are going to be tight on fuel to the end of the race if it were to stay green. But at some point, though, we get long enough into a green flag run, and I'm talking if we could just go 10 to 20 laps, it might go green to the end after that, just because we've had two very long green flag runs already today, with the entirety of stage 1 going caution-free 70 laps, and then nearly 100 laps in stage 2. It's very well possible. Ryan Blaney out in front, though. Austin Cindric in second, Josh Berry third, Ty Gibbs fourth, Ryan Preece fifth, and Chase Elliott is sixth. Feels like a lengthy commercial break. Oh, there we go.
Hope you're enjoying watching the Iowa Corn 350 powered by ethanol. What a day it's been here. Second time for the Cup Series here at Iowa Speedway. We're rolling around under caution after the most recent incident involving Zane Smith and Carson Hocevar. But right now, fellas, it is time for Ones to Watch, presented by Credit One Bank. What you got, Jeff?
We'll go with Ty Gibbs, 22-year-old. The end of last year and the beginning of this year were horrible, but this team has started to get together. Top 10s in 3 of the last 4 races. 19th in the playoff standings. They have to win if they're going to get into the playoffs. This team is ready to make it happen.
I have my eye on the 19 of Chase Briscoe. He's all the way back in 18th, but he was last on pit road at 224. He's the guy leading that area. I think they could stretch it on fuel. They've done it before. I think he has a good chance to get his 4th win of the season if he can stretch that fuel tank.
And I've got my eyes on the 3, the 2018 Daytona 500 winner, Austin Dillon. This, to me, is shades of the Austin of old. He has been on a power move today, and this RCR team has seemingly turned things around, because what a day it's been for Kyle Busch, his teammate as well. Ready to get...
Right, 115 laps to go on the restart. The Penske duo in the front row of Blaney, Cindric, green flag back in the air. Cindric had a huge bump from behind by Ty Gibbs that kind of got him going. 4 wide into the first turn around Bell, Byron, Suarez, and Allmendinger. 3 wide just in front of them. It's like they're trying to crash again. Ryan Blaney, meanwhile, out in the race lead. Cindric still in second place right there with him. Contacted again, it looked like, between Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson, as Elliott shuts the door tightly off of turn 4 on Larson. About the 3rd time they've nearly made contact with one another, and Larson slips right back to the inside at turns 1 and 2 anyway, underneath of Elliott. I think the interesting thing here, like I stated during the caution flag period, is if we can get 20 laps into this green flag run, I think that's going to space these guys out enough, and we're going to get a really long green flag run after that, which is going to be not so good, in my opinion, for the drivers who have to pit in about 50 laps or so. It's a big gamble to not pit and continue to lead like they have done, Ryan Blaney in the 12 car under duress from Cindric after initially getting to the lead. Austin Cindric showing some speed all of a sudden. He hasn't led yet today, but he's been quietly in the top 10 the whole race. At times he's been up in the top 5. And here he is challenging with Blaney, staying out of the pits during all the cautions that we have seen since about lap 170. I don't think Blaney would be saving gas right now by any means as the reason why Cindric's putting some pressure on him. They are in the same equipment after all. Blaney having the clean air advantage and having the high side off the exit of the corner is able to get enough straightaway speed both on the front stretch and the back stretch to stay in front of Cindric, who had gotten underneath him for about 2.5 laps or so before Blaney was finally able to pull clear again. And I don't believe Cindric led a lap in that transition at the start-finish line, so still no laps led for him. Blaney has led for 25 laps so far today. Keselowski, Logano, 4th position. Keselowski making a pass, middle of the pack. 6 car looking speedy. Blaney's put himself to about a 4 to 5 car length gap over Cindric. Chase Elliott on the move. Trouble off turn 4 again. And now it's Eric Jones in the 43, who I believe had contact from behind. Our 8th caution of the day.
You heard the spotter of the 6 screaming save. That tells me we know the plan for most, but unfortunate chain events for the 43 was running 19.
Hey, that's exactly what they needed, right?
The 6?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I think they love this. I think the 19, the 6, they love this situation because this probably gets them into the window. This forces Blaney, Cindric, Priest, Barry, all the leaders. And now they have to decide if now's the time to put fuel in their car. Let's see what happens.
Bubba Wallace was struggling in that top lane. They got to it pretty quickly. Eric tries to turn to go underneath it, and Briscoe is there. Bubba had been hit like 3 or 4 times the lap before.
The 19 kind of exited the corner thinking he was going to be 2 wide. Turned, he was 3 wide.
Yeah.
And this is my comment on the last caution when I thought everybody was going to pit. It was because of this situation here. I was absolutely wrong. But DeJordy stayed out. But now I think that gamble may work. Look at this. This is the 43 and the 23 hitting each other. I'm sorry, 42.
That was the lap before. What ended up being the caution. That happened the lap before off turn 4.
Chastain was sneaking through on the bottom there.
So this is John Hunter Nemechek in the Dollar Tree Toyota Camry. So it was both Legacy Motor Club cars involved
And
a
Bubba's
lap apart.
Yeah, Bubba's car got in the wall, and I think a little bit of damage, and that's why he was slow off of turn 4.
And this is the moment where you say, thank goodness for last week's victory.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm in the playoffs. While this isn't ideal, in the big scheme of things, I'm still safe.
Now you see the first half of the race was kind of clean and green with only 1 yellow in the first 170 laps and 7 wrecks since then.
Yeah, you see them. There looks like a rear suspension piece, most likely a tow link.
Yeah.
Something in the rear suspension they're having to fix. And I just think his lack of speed kind of caught everybody off guard coming off turn 4, and that contributed to that last caution.
Decision time for the leaders. I wouldn't dare say they're all going to pit, but I said that last time. They proved me wrong, so I'll just wait and see what they do.
Are we talking enough about Josh Berry? The 21, that Menards Ford, has done a super job today as he shadows the 2 of Austin Cindric. Okay, Dave, take us away. Take it first up.
Yep, he likes the Sunoco fuel and Goodyear tires. They will get 4 of them and send him on his way.
Jonathan Answer told Ryan Blaney, this is us. Blaney came back and said it's just so on edge on the restart. Let's get them to their window to be able to make it to the end. Same for Ryan Priest. They caught that fortuitous caution a little bit earlier, and now he's been able to keep it up in the top 10. With 1:05 to go, these teams believe they for sure can make it to the end of the race here.
This is what put us under this most recent caution. Contact between Chase Briscoe and Eric Jones. Not malicious, just kind of circumstantial.
Under caution for the 8th time today after contact between the 43 and the 23 off of turn 4. Jones goes for a spin. And with this caution coming out, we've got more of the leaders that were able to come down, pit for fuel. They're well within their fuel window to make it to the end of the race. Some are still in a situation where they're trying to save under caution because they pitted during earlier yellows. And there were still a select few that stayed out on the racetrack. I believe Cindric stayed out. Same for Josh Berry. Chase Elliott, Austin Dillon, those guys, they're going to be really tight on fuel to the end of the race. But if we keep getting these cautions over and over again, you almost wonder, can they make it? With about 25 less laps of fuel in their car. I would imagine that's why they continue to stay out. Where we know from about Alex Bowman in 12th on back, they're going to be good on fuel to the end. Because they have already pitted. And I think with these cautions we've seen so far that they have been able to save enough. And that's even with still about 100 laps to go. Last 100 laps are going to be 20-lap dirt car sprints, basically. That's about what we've had. We've actually had more like 6 to 8 lap dirt track heat races is what we've had for about the last... Man, it's going on almost 80 laps now. The splurge of yellow started at lap 170. It's lap 247 right now. Cindric leads, Berry in second, then Chase Elliott third, Austin Dillon fourth, William Byron fifth, Kyle Larson in sixth. Will be the top half dozen for the race start. Up to 48 laps of caution now, 8 lead changes today. Cindric taking his first lead with Blaney Petting in front of him. We were on pace for this race to be done in less than 2.5 hours with how we kind of started things off with only having that one caution for incident and then having 7 yellows basically consecutively at this point. We're definitely not going to get this race done in less than 2.5 hours anymore, and I'd probably like to believe that we're probably not going to get this done in less than 3 hours anymore. The fast race pace that we did have is no longer. Still 100 laps to go. I mean, that is a lot of time. We shall see how this is going to shape up. Field is getting the 1 to go signal.
Team races in succession, leading into the playoffs in several races' time, taking you all the way to the championship finale at Phoenix to crown the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series champion. But a whole lot of fun and racing and hard work between now and then.
A lot of different strategies in the race. Let's listen into the 6.
Get a yellow, good, and nobody else around the head. You know, don't get a yellow. I need to really take care of it. Well, I think right here we just got to go and get as many spots back as we can. Not sure we're enough of the tires to make it, and I don't think it'll go green, right?
Conversation about tires. Kim, what are you hearing?
Yeah, I'm hearing that there's concern about durability, and that's why we've seen the 2 stay out a number of caution periods, because Brian Wilson said, you know, we've seen tires cording between 80 and 90 laps green. We still have over 100 to go.
Well, there's your answer. I was thinking this was completely a fuel mileage event, but what Kim is saying is there are a bunch of teams down there that think fuel's one thing, but if the tires don't make it, it won't matter. Let's see. Will it be fuel or will it be...
Yeah, this strategy's all over the place at this point. Green flag back in the air. Tough to put a gauge on who's in the best position right now with just 100 laps left. Not in a good position. It's Christopher Bell, 3 wide up the middle, racing around 5th. Slight contact with John Hunter Nemechek through the center of the corner as they all try to race for that fresher asphalt. Larson to the outside of both cars. Cindric got out ahead with the lead. Initially, Josh Berry, Austin Dillon side by side for second, but Dillon slides off turn 4. Can't hang with the 21. The 9 of Elliott will get to his outside down the front stretch and look for third. Nemechek, Bell, Larson still 3 wide. They've been that way for about an entire lap now. Near contact between Bell and Larson in the outer groove. Chastain clearing on the 19 of Chase Briscoe. Bell and Larson contact again. Larson made a great save. Wall kind of helped him. 4 wide and her land rush down to turn 1. Larson up out of the groove with contact from Chastain. Larson is going backwards in a hurry. Now Larson's outside 3 wide as he just can't get out of harm's way. Ryan Preece is under him. Denny Hamlin in the 11 is the car on the inside of both of the 2 to the outside. And we've got trouble up ahead, and now it's Reddick and Bell who go first spin in 1 and 2. Caution is out again for the 9th time. This is unbelievable. It's getting too predictable at this point.
Wild.
The cautions, I mean, not the strategy.
The cars just do not drive well. They're just not the grip that a normal 1.5 type racetrack has. But this isn't, it looks like a 1.5, but it's not. It is much more of a short track. And the cars just do not have grip.
Well, Jeremy Bullen's words have come true when he said to Brad Keselowski, Steve, before that restart, I don't think it's going to go green the rest of the way. It has not. It only lasted several laps. What happened between Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell?
3 wide. The 19
Briscoe
got loose on corner entry. We've seen it over and over. Gets into Tyler Reddick. Reddick gets into Bell. It's just been a consistent theme. Turn 1. When you're on the bottom of the racetrack, look how narrow his entry is. He turns so early. Now his angle of attack is completely messed up. Hits the bump, gets the back of the car around. The only thing he can do is chase it up the racetrack. Takes 2 on the same contact.
Let's have a look from the 48 of Alex Bowman because he had a really good view of that.
Great job by Bowman. It's just, we saw it yesterday in practice. We saw it in qualifying, and we've seen it all day today. Turn 1, you better pay attention to your corner entry speed and how your car is driving.
You know, it's worth discussing. We keep talking about it being a short track. Well, this is the fastest track where we run the short track aero package. The simple diffuser, not a lot of aerodynamic help, right? So most tracks, loud we do, and maybe it's a little bit faster at times, but it's flatter and different. I mean, bank track with a lot of speed because, you know, and once we go to Dover, we run like an intermediate package. It has a lot more aerodynamic balance to it. So you wonder if that, you know, we finally taken enough downforce off these cars, but these guys are completely out of the racetrack.
Steve, all the no downforce fans, you just made happen. They're all cheering right now.
Yeah, I mean, now look, I will say that everybody's still going to get out and say it's hard to pass and the tires don't fall off. So I'm not saying it's the magic ingredient, but I'm going to say if you like guys wrecking, then this is pretty much on it. Look at this. Joey Logano's thinking he might get into it.
He found the magic path right there through the smoke.
So many guys riding along with Bowman, you know, Logano there. You see how the smoke, it just, sometimes you just have to guess, right? See it start, and you make your best guess right then, and you hope it's the right one.
Michael, that's the second time today that Michael McDowell has been right in the middle of an incident and found that magical path through as well. So the Spire drive, there he is in the Delaware Life 71. McDowell runs in the top 15. So it's been an eventful day for Kyle Larson, who crashed out of this race a year ago, but he is still in play now, Kim.
Yeah, lost quite a few positions after that last incident, and his frustration is pegged. Take a listen to the radio.
Every single one of we're gonna have to lead people. How's my right recorder? All this. I know this guy's a bit hard on you, man.
He finished that thing. Look, I've been trying to be a good teammate. I've been trying to be a good competitor the last hour, and it has gotten me nowhere. So look for maybe a little more aggressive from Kyle Larson in the last 95 laps.
It's not often you hear Kyle Larson on the radio like that.
He was looking for somebody to talk to, that would talk back to him. He was looking for some therapy right there.
Yeah, but Cliff was that calming voice. Marty.
Top right of your screen, Ross Chastain coming to pit road. Phil Surgeon told him a moment ago, I would love to get a caution where I think more are going to come, but I think it's going to be very few. But he felt like he had to come here. They could think they can now, Kim.
Bottom right, Austin Dillon just said, I need to be freed up a little bit for traffic.
I'll show you again why we are under this most recent portion on the inside of Tyler Reddick. He got tagged by Briscoe and then went up into Christopher Bell, and look at everybody doing a good job to avoid the 45 and the 20.
Cow loss. I get that. I get that. Austin Cindric still staying out of the pits and out ahead of the field. Like I said already, though, I really don't know strategy-wise who's in the best position to try to win this race. We do know speed in the race car, Brad Keselowski, is really strong. He's surviving the restarts. He's staying out of trouble even in the middle of the pack. He's worked his way back up to 8th. Maybe he's in the best position. Top 5 is Austin Cindric in the lead, Chase Elliott in 2nd, Josh Berry 3rd, William Byron 4th, and John Hunter Nemechek in 5th. I mean, this is a tale of 2 races today. The first half, very clean. Second half, not so much. Anything but. Down to about 92 laps to go. Field window's open to the end of the race. You get a long enough green flag run, could lead to split strategies late if we get a late caution. Depending on what the tire life is like. Cindric hasn't pitted in 83 laps and stayed out again. I don't know how many laps he's going to be able to go before he'd have to pit under green. I mean, a lot of these laps have been under caution. He's definitely not going to be able to make it to the end on fuel, though. So I really don't know what that 2 team is thinking as far as when to pit now.
Mass, a packed house to see the second year of the NASCAR Cup Series. Thank you very much. What a day. And the weather, Mother Nature has worked with us because it's been in the mid-70s. It's just been beautiful. It's been perfect. So I've been here for many years covering IndyCar. Even way back nearly 20 years ago, we did sports cars here. And you just associate it with being blisteringly hot at this track. Not today, not this weekend. It has been perfect for this second year of NASCAR's Cup Series, Premier Series, coming here to Iowa Speedway.
An amazing race and some amazing stories near the front. Some drivers that have yet to go to victory lane. One who is in a great position in 10th with the freshest tires of everyone in the top 10. Ryan Preece had a discussion about potential loose wheel, and look at the access the team has granted us. So this is the crew chief right here having a discussion. So Derek Finley is in the blue shirt. You see the white fire suit, the iPad they bring up there. This is showing probably crew camera footage, probably tire changer footage of actually watching the lug nut itself, how much the socket spins. This is all the information that crew chiefs get to decide if they think they have a loose wheel or not. I'd like to thank RFK. I'd like to thank Derek Finley and everybody at the 60 team for this sort of access. Let us put a camera right up on there. Just a great view of how you process these very heated situations, because it's a tough decision on top of the pit box, Joe.
Derek Finley, to me, is a really cool story of the year. They named the crew chief of this team. He started in NASCAR in 1997 as an engineer. He was, in my eyes, he was one of the first guys, one of the first wave of engineering that came in. And when they named him, I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Like, he's been around a long time. I talked to him yesterday. He said he is having an absolute ball and loves working with Ryan Preece. What a fun story for me from somebody I've known for so long.
And that just adds to the fabric of Preece's story today. Battling to stay on the lead lap, the pit lane speed limiter issue. Maybe that's under question. Meanwhile,
All right, well, 90 laps to go. Cindric Elliott on the front row. Haven't seen a Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet lead yet today. Green flag back in the air. I take that back. William Byron led a lot at the beginning of the race. It feels like it was 2 races ago now. It doesn't even feel like the same race anymore. Back underway. Elliott hanging in there with Austin Cindric. Byron back up in the top 5 again. Same for Chase Briscoe, who started on the pole at the beginning of the day. Slowly working their way back forward as cars in front of them have pitted, with them pitting earlier. Elliott can't stay with Austin Cindric off turn 4 on the opening lap following the race start. He'll settle in line in second place just behind the 2. Josh Berry, same strategy as his affiliated teammate Cindric, continued to just stay out on the racetrack for over 80-plus laps. And battles with the 24 car for 3rd. Nemechek goes a bit wide. Nearly leaning on a fellow Toyota, Chase Briscoe. Trouble again on the front stretch this time. Shane Van Gisbergen for the second time.
Okay, the Red Bull Trackhouse car has brought out the caution.
Tires up.
This is
They're up.
once you have yellows, they just, I mean, they're non-stop.
Well, and I'm trying to put myself in your shoes as the crew chief. How in the world can you anticipate this many cautions?
Right.
Contact, contact there.
It looks like a lot, but he's probably already super loose at the moment.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on around them. You know, there's AJ on the dinger.
What's going on right there? Kyle Busch is into the side of the 16 as well.
Yeah, so just why are we surprised?
Well, I'm going to tell you,
why.
I'm going to put you in my shoes. If you're Brian Wilson, the crew chief of the 2, or Alan Gustafson, your stomach sinks. Could we please just run 40 laps, get some laps on these tires?
You know, SVG, he had that wreck earlier. He was running 16.
No.
Stay out here, and then just put new tires on at the end. So, feel like there's more risk. It's not coming at this point. So,
Yeah, that's
all lasted.
Austin Cindric, and he just knows that they're in a bad spot in this situation.
So, talking about radio communications, Marty, tell us more about what was discussed between Jeremy Bullins and Brad Keselowski.
Well, for Brad Keselowski, of the 5 strategies, I think it's probably 6 now, Lee, that you laid out a moment ago, it'd be a 119-lap run to the end. We have talked about concerns over tire wear if you run that long. So here was a conversation a moment ago between Jeremy Bullins and Brad Keselowski.
So, what scenario of track positioning would it be worth putting race on it if they all come? Jeremy, don't kick him. Wait a minute, I don't want to see you again. We're not seeing you, so this is over.
I love that conversation, Jeff, and I will say this is the second time Brad Keselowski has come on the radio and kind of taken control of a race call. No offense to Jeremy Bullins, right? I mean, Brad Keselowski's the boss man, and he has told him twice now, I want to pit as few times as possible, and waved off a possible pit stop later in the race. So I don't think the 6 is coming back down pit road. And they told him, you and Chase Briscoe, you're the only 2 in the top 10 right now who can make it all the way for sure.
Well, Jeremy and Brad have worked together in the past. This kind of reunited this year, and they trust each other. See, Cindric told pit road here, Steve.
Yeah, he had no choice, right? He was up against it. He knows time was running out. I will add, I know they think they're the only ones that can make it. I put Nemechek and Bowman in that mix. Byron at lap 206 is probably getting close with all these yellows. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, we're talking 45 laps of yellow on some of these guys that are leading this race. Let's cover this 2 pit stop in.
And for the 2 cars, these cautions, this flurry of cautions went totally against what they wanted in their playbook. They discussed on what to do. They put their risk in saying is having a pit under green. The risk in taking tires now is being in the pack. Ultimately, they did decide to bring him down 4 fresh Goodyear tires. Sunoco Fuel. Kyle Larson also on the pit lane for fresh tires.
Watch this guy going with fresh tires. He is fired up inside that 5. We've seen him involved in multiple incidents today. Not always his doing. It's been a wild day here in Iowa.
Damage repair on the 5 of Larson as he's back on pit road again following on-track contact. There's several of these restarts. Austin Cindric in the deuce just pitted from the lead. So Chase Elliott now out in front for the first time this afternoon with just less than 85 laps to go. 10th caution of the event, 9 lead changes. We've had more cautions than lead changes so far. We've only really had as many lead changes as we have because of the amount of cautions that we've had in a row, and our drivers are trying to one-up each other and teams are trying to one-up each other on the fuel situation. Fact of the matter is, with as many yellows as we've seen, there are a lot of drivers that are plenty good to the end on fuel. And it's all going to be up to tire wear if we get a long enough green flag run either. We didn't have really much tire wear to begin with, but even just the amount of laps on tires necessarily, depending on the situation you can find yourself in with, like I said yesterday during the Xfinity Series race, I said this a long time ago early in the stream, but we had a situation where there was about a 60-lap green flag run, and we didn't have a lot of tire fall up. So was 60 laps on the tires. Fuel only stops on the final stop of the day at that time for Justin Allgaier, Brandon Jones. They cycle out the first and second. They couldn't hold on at all. So we really don't know what that threshold of how many laps better of tires is going to make that much of a difference. But what we do know is 60 is too much. NASCAR Team Penske Cup Series Racing, thanks for tuning in. What happened throughout the race, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, started the day, Chase Briscoe on the pole. William Byron led all but 3 laps in stage 1. Keselowski got around him late. Brad wins the first stage. Then we get to the stage yellow. Caution free through stage 1 as well. And then we go about the next nearly 100 laps green. Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney found themselves up at the front of the field. Had a couple of cautions back-to-back towards the end of stage 2. Keselowski on late stage restarts was able to get out in front, win the second stage. And then as we've gotten into stage 3, more of what we saw towards the end of stage 2, where it's just yellow after yellow
listen
after yellow.
Presley calls his driver, Joey Logano, back to green.
So Elliott in the lead now for the first time. He is out in front. Josh Berry underneath him. He was on the same strategy as Cindric, but Cindric just pitted. Berry stays out. Byron, Elliott, nose to tail on that outside line, are going to try to get to first and second place. Byron almost slips clear of the 21 car. He's going to have a good shot to get by him into turns 3 and 4, and does. Elliott goes a little bit too far wide up the racetrack out of turn 4. Barely stays in front of the 23 on corner exit. Alex Bowman, who's in a better fuel situation than that of his 2 teammates out ahead, is looking for third place as well on Barry. So all of a sudden, with whatever strategies that have been into fruition in this final stage of the race, we have Hendrick Motorsports 1, 2, 3 at the front of the field. Barry holding on for dear life for fourth to keep from losing any more spots. Nemechek, Briscoe, 2 Toyotas side by side right behind him. Byron putting a lot of pressure. Caution out again. This time, Ty Dillon. Our 11th caution of the race. 80 laps to go. I'm convinced it's not going to stop at this point. This is unbelievable. It's hard to commentate this race just with so many wrecks. I mean, I feel like I try to get in a rhythm on a restart, and we just end up having a caution right away. Top 10 under the yellow with 79 laps to go as Chase Elliott in the lead, William Byron in second, Alex Bowman third, Josh Berry fourth, John Hunter Nemechek fifth, then Chase Briscoe sixth, Brad Keselowski seventh, Carson Hocevar eighth, Ryan Preece ninth, and Justin Haley 10th. I can remember races where we'd get consecutive yellows when I was growing up, and I would race like quarter midgets, go-karts and stuff, and they would red flag the race at various times, and there very few occasions this ever happened. We'd have consecutive yellows, whatever, that felt like the race was getting out of hand, and they'd be like, we will stop this race, and just kind of threaten everybody to not do what we were still doing, essentially. Race control was trying to take full control of the race, essentially, at that point. And there was only one time I could remember where they actually brought everybody back in. It was the weirdest thing. And everybody was, I mean, they were teed off that night. Because they ended up basically parking it, the whole field. Not everybody was involved in like incidences and stuff, so I can understand the frustration for some of us that weren't involved in anything. Ruin it for others. Now, they did end up returning back to the track and running the main event because there was money on the line, so you can't just like bark everybody and then end up keeping the winnings. Like, that doesn't make any sense. That seems kind of shady, but ended up rerunning the feature later in the night. We ended up being the last class that night instead of running wherever we were in the order of however many classes there were. That sucked though, because we had to like readjust the car and stuff. It was like an extra practice session. Then some of us had damage. That's what I feel like NASCAR should do here. take control, get on all the teams' radios and be like, hey, you guys keep it up. We're just going to park everybody. The race is going to be over. Can you imagine the crowd reaction to something like that? They'd be booming that place out of the, I'd say out of the building. There's no enclosed roof. But, yeah, not really a lot race control can do in this situation. I mean, this is all on the drivers just being over aggressive and making mistake after mistake. They've alluded on the broadcast how hard it is to drive at this racetrack with this car with loose end, but it has nothing to do. I'm not going to say it has nothing to do with it. Obviously, it goes hand in hand with the over aggressiveness that these drivers are putting other drivers in situations that they wouldn't want to be in themselves. Josh Berry's gone over 100 laps in the 4th place position with where he's at right now on fuel. Chase Elliott has gone 91. My next question is, will this continue all the way to the end of the race? Will we continue to have yellow after yellow, or are we going to get a green flag run in at some point? It's so unpredictable. I mean, you can predict, well, Keegan Doe, we've had so many cautions consecutively now, they're going to continue to have yellows, but I'm still a believer of the fact that if we can get 20 laps, which we haven't gotten a 20-lap green flag run in over 100 laps now. But if we can, it would space the field out, and we'll probably end up having the rest of the race play out a lot like Stage 1 and the majority of Stage 2 went. The NASCAR record, by the way, for cautions in a single race is 22, so we are probably not breaking that today. Now, if we would have started the race like this and then continued to go on throughout the course of it, we might have a chance, but 75 laps to go right now. We're only halfway to the record, so that won't happen. Already more cautions than last year's race at Iowa Speedway, so I guess technically it's a new track record for the Cup Series, with this only being the second event here for their side. We have eclipsed more than 50 likes on the stream so far. We're at 63 right now. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe for more NASCAR content along the way. Live commentary streams like this every NASCAR race weekend for Truck Xfinity Cup races, as well as Cup practice and qualifying. We'll be live next weekend. Watkins Glen, all 3 series, Truck Xfinity and Cup. So we'll have live commentary streams every day from Friday through Sunday. Friday with the truck race at 5 p.m. Eastern. Doubleheader on Saturday with Cup practice and qualifying in the NASCAR Xfinity Series race. Check the start time for that real quick while we're under another caution. Let's see here. Looks like noon Eastern next week for our Saturday coverage on the channel. Practice and qualifying, and then Xfinity race will be at 3 p.m. Eastern that afternoon. Cup Series race 1:30 Eastern next Sunday. We'll be live with our pre-race. So Chase Elliott, William Byron front row for the restart as the green flag's back in the air. Byron, who had gotten the lead from Briscoe on the inside of row 1 in the initial start, has just gotten by his teammate Chase Elliott. Elliott, though, now going to try a crossover move down the backstretch into turn 3 on entry, but he is not going to be able to hold with the 24, and Byron leads off of turn 4 still. So Elliott could not take control of the race there. Byron in control at the moment. We'll see if he can stay in control the further along we get. 73 laps left. Out of the field still bunched up 2 by 2 in the middle of the pack. I'm sure there's probably 3 wide going on somewhere in the middle of the back of the pack where we've seen a lot of the incidences take place. Very few of them have been in the front portion of the field. Outside of the Bell and Reddick incident when they were in the top 10, everything else has pretty much been mid-pack on back with all the cautions. 31 cars are on the lead lap right now. Remember, we had 19 on the lead lap at one point with the caution in the middle of green flag stops back in stage 2. But there's been so many free passes given out that now we're back to 31 on the lead lap because of all the caution flags. So Byron leads by half a second over Chase Elliott. Alex Bowman in 37 tenths back. Josh Berry is second off the lead in fourth. Chase Briscoe 1.3 seconds off the lead in fifth. And Brad Keselowski is in sixth place at 1.6 seconds back. 1.8 for John Hunter Nemechek in seventh. Ryan Preece 2 seconds off the lead in eighth. Carson Hocevar 2.1 seconds back in ninth. And Denny Hamlin 2.5 seconds off the lead, rounding out the top 10. Well, we've made it 5 laps on this restart. There's a couple of rows of 3 wide racing towards the back of the lead lap. And it looks like 5 laps is all we're going to get this time. Caution's out again. 12th time today. With 69 laps to go. And this time it's not a crash. It is debris. The one time we didn't get a crash in 5 laps, we have debris. Looks like it might be a rear window. Laying on the outside of one of the corners. Looks like maybe turn 3. My goodness. Yeah, it looked like a rear window. I don't know whose it was. Oh, hang on. Looks like it might have been Todd Gilliland. It wasn't a rear window either. It was a right side window. Popped on out of there. Mandatory part. Gilliland coming back onto pit road. They'll have to put a replacement one in. Got quite a bit of damage on the right side of his car from multiple bits of contact. So Byron out ahead. Has not won since the Daytona 500 this year. Can he break through today? He's led quite a few laps. Again, he had 67 laps led early in the race. He's now led for 73. It's the second different time he's led. Chase Briscoe has led the most laps, 81 for him. Keselowski, who has won 2 stages today, 68 laps led. Everybody else basically on pit strategy kind of split around. Blaney's led for 29, 11 for Chase Elliott, 20 for Austin Cindric up to this point. And those are all the drivers to lead at least 1 lap in the race. Elliott coming into the pits, same for Josh Berry.
Racing completing for the win, Dave.
And the sighs on the radio were real. They did not want to have to hit here, but they do. They give up the lead, and they'll go to the back. We'll see what Chase Elliott can do from here, Kim.
Big guys, too, but Josh Berry telling his crew chief Miles Stanley, look, we couldn't have predicted all those cautions. It's not your fault. They elected to follow the 9s. We saw the 9 down. Now the 21 getting their fresh tires, filling that fuel tank up full of gas.
There's more takers. There's Cole Custer in the 41.
I talked to Miles Stanley the other day, Josh Berry's crew chief, and he's really happy with the speed they have in the cars, but it's been, things like this. Like, who could have predicted this many cautions? He made a call to try to win the race, and caution after caution after caution, and that has changed the situation for that team.
I think it's worth pointing out, big day yesterday for this Haas factory team. Remember, that is a new organization broken down from Stewart Haas Racing. They went to victory lane in the Xfinity series. Yeah. I point that out. Cole Custer not having the day he's looking for, but if you change ownership and you rebuild a race team, momentum in any manner, I think, helps Jeff, right? So Sam Mayer yesterday winning in this Haas Factory Xfinity entry. Cole Custer fighting the battle today, but congratulations to that Haas Factory team and everybody, Joe Custer, everybody that's a key principal of it to put it together. They found some success on Saturday and just looking to improve on Sunday.
Yeah, remember Cole Custer, right? He was in Cup. He was in Xfinity trucks. Xfinity. Then he was in Cup.
Yep.
And he lost his ride, but back to Xfinity and did really, really well there. Won a lot of races, and now he's back in Cup with another opportunity.
I want to go back to the 48 of Alex Bowman. And this time a year ago, he was living under this intense cloud of, am I going to lose my ride at Hendrick Motorsports? So then came out, Jeff Gordon and the crew came out and said, no, his ride is safe. And then he was involved in an awkward incident in the playoffs where he ended up losing his spot after the Charlotte Roval. That put Joey Logano back in. Now here he is again, Steve, and he's in the pressure cooker situation. He came into today's race 15th in the playoff standing. So at the moment, coming into this race, he's in on points. We spoke to Blake Harris at length about that, about what that pressure's like. And this guy said, I don't mean to give a funny answer, he said, but when you work for Hendrick Motorsports, which you did for 20 years,
Yeah.
we live under that pressure every weekend. Because if it's pressure, are we going to make the playoffs with a win or not? Even if we do make the playoffs, then you reset and that pressure is ever present.
Yeah, I mean, this team and this organization starts in January with the goal of all 4 teams in the playoffs. And, you know, we're counting the points, we're counting this, but that is week in and week out. I mean, these 4 cars go in the haulers with the expectation to win the race. What did I tell Legacy? Hey, man, the best thing about working at Hendrick for 20 years is I had everything I needed to win the race. The hardest thing about working at Hendrick was you had everything you needed to win the race. So if you didn't
So
win,
there's no excuse.
yeah, no excuses.
Yeah.
The pressure just builds.
Kim, what you got?
John Hunter Nemechek running in that fifth position. They were on last on pit road, lap 214. So some questions on whether or not they could make it to the end on fuel. 3 cautions ago, I asked the gas man. He said, we're close to the dot. In the last 2 cautions, checked in with him. They gave me a thumbs up. But Travis McPritchie is reminding his driver, max save as much as you can.
Many drivers, including John Hunter Nemechek, with nothing to lose with a chance to win their race. Nemechek, Priest, Kosovar, Haley, all those guys win the race, they can get in the playoff.
Win and you are in. 64 laps to go when they come to the line. And let's go, William Byron. Good restart. Chase Trisco's trying to go with it. His Hendrick Motorsports teammates down on the low side. Bowman is scrapping and fighting as hard as he can. He's the only Hendrick driver who hasn't won this season, and he would desperately love to get it here in Iowa. Ryan Priest in that 60. John Hunter Nemechek, Brad Keselowski.
And if tires matters, Priest has the best. They haven't seen a huge difference, but everything adds up at the end as he goes up, around. Is he looking 3 wide or at least 2 wide of the Porsche?
He loves the outside. We've seen multiple restarts. Priest is willing to run higher than most are.
This is such a special place for Ryan Priest. He got his first Xfinity Series career victory here back in 2017. Can you imagine if he drives to victory lane in Cup and puts himself in the NASCAR playoffs?
Well, if he doesn't, he's got to pass 2 cars that have already won and shown just how much raw speed they have between William Byron and Chase Briscoe.
It wasn't that long ago we were talking about Priest. He is way slower than Brad Keselowski. They have done a great job of making changes to this race car.
That's a great point, Jeff. Right? We talked about the track changes. Well, it's more than just that. They've stayed ahead of it. They've kept grinding back in the field. You see some pushing and some shoving. 71 of McDowell on the outside of Ross Chastain right here. It's going to be a long way to the front for the 71 to win this week, but you have to be excited about heading to Milwaukee Spillane. Probably the same for AJ Allmendinger as he jumps to the inside of Austin Dillon.
60 to go from here.
Remember, for both Priest and Bowman, they got fortunate with that early yellow that cycled into the front after they both had issues, right? I think they were speeding on the first yellow, both of them.
Yeah. And I can't remember if it was you or Jeff said when he was at the last car on the lead lap, how valiantly, like how determinedly he fought to stay on that lead lap. And here he is. He's at the other end of the field now. Priest has a chance to win this Iowa Corn 350. Deeper in the pack, it's a little tougher for Austin Dillon and AJ Allmendinger and Joey Logano. Talking about 11th, 12th, 13th right there.
Our brothers Pizza Cam, Joey Logano looking back at Austin Dillon.
Kosovar and Keselowski. Remember, Carson was in one of those cautions. He was sideways. He got tagged. He was up in the wall. Great recovery. Whoa! And he just lays it sideways.
But even as sideways as he was, he did not lose that much position to Brad Keselowski. I think Brad is struggling right here.
Check this out. Watch the black lines he leaves on the exit of the corner. That was awesome.
He's going to wish he had that little bit of rubber back on those rear Goodyear tires here in about 50 laps.
You see the 6 car. See, he just went driving away from the 77. Like the 6, not as good as he was earlier in the race.
Hey, for 300 laps into a race, this thing's been chaotic.
Oh, yeah.
It has just really been a mess.
55 laps to go. Hey, Kim Kuhn, how about we go through the field? You kick it off.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's start with leader William Byron. This team, remember we talked about during pre-race, they finished 27th or worse in 5 of the last 8 races. They are desperate for a win. However, they did talk about how everything's circumstantial. They've had the speed. We have seen it here today. There are some nerves on the pit box on whether or not they're good on fuel. Last was on pit road, left 2:06. Still trying to get William to save a little bit, especially because he burned more fuel out front. So still a little bit of a question in the air on whether or not they can make it to 350 laps here. As we look at the second place runner, Chase Briscoe, remember he led the field to the green. He won his series leading 6th pole of the season yesterday. While the team is happy, they're also a little frustrated because from the standpoint of not being able to convert those poles into more wins, but on the positive side, that James has been bringing cars that Chase likes much more than he did earlier in the season, Marty.
And Lee mentioned Ryan Preece's win here in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He told me earlier this weekend that day changed my life. And remember, we showed Dave that replay of Flip presenting to Derek Finley, who they thought was a loose wheel. He would convince them not to come back down pit road, and Ryan Preece was literally seconds from coming down pit road and giving up that spot. And here he is in third with a shot to win it.
Call a normal race. That is what Blake Harris, the crew chief, told me this morning he wanted to do for Atlas Moment today, and they should be good. Now, this race has been anything but normal. You know, this race here, that's what. But they've been able to stay with Ricky. Had to overcome one mid-speeding penalty. But other than that, they've got it done. And for the 48 driver, Marty.
Best day of the year for Brad Keselowski. He's led 68 laps. He has 2 playoff points, and Jeremy Bowens reminded him a moment ago the strength of a car all day long has been the long run. So he has done this before, and he comes through the top 5 and get his first win of 2025. Carson Osabar, Lee mentioned it, spun out earlier. Here he is in the 6th position. And can you tell by watching Lee that he is struggling with loose off the corner for Carson Osabar? But I think that young man doesn't mind being free off the corner. He's willing to wheel it.
He whirls around. That's why we call him the Hurricane. Hey, that was Through the Field, brought to you by Homes.com. There's been so many intriguing and compelling stories here today, and we're far from done. Inside 50 laps to go here at Iowa.
48 laps left for our race leader, William Byron. Chase Briscoe is in second, Ryan Preece third, Alex Bowman fourth, and Brad Keselowski rounds out the top 5 in fifth. Carson Hocevar in sixth, John Hunter Nemechek seventh, Justin Haley eighth, Ryan Blaney ninth, and Joey Logano rounds out the top 10. Denny Hamlin in 11th, Austin Dillon 12th, 13th for Ross Chastain, AJ Allmendinger 14th, and Austin Cindric 15th. Chase Elliott up 9 spots on the race start to 16th. Michael McDowell 17th, Kyle Busch 18th, Christopher Bell 19th, and Bubba Wallace in 20th. Daniel Suarez 21st, Ty Gibbs 22nd, Eric Jones 23rd, Tyler Reddick 24th, Kyle Larson 25th, Chris Buescher 26th, Cole Custer 27th, Josh Berry 28th, Shane Van Gisbergen in 29th, and Riley Herbst in 30th. Noah Gragson 31st, Cody Ware 32nd is the last car in the lead lap, and Todd Gillen is in 33rd, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 34th. Zane Smith, 35th, Ty Dillon, 36th, Joey Gase, 37th. Despite the fact we've had 12 cautions today, all 37 cars that started the race are still in the race, and over 30 of them on the lead lap. Byron's lead over Briscoe is a half a second. It was about 9/10. Briscoe a little bit quicker. To kind of cut that lead down just a bit over the 24, who may be short on gas to the end of the race. The longest green flag run we've had since lap 170. And it hasn't even really been that long, but last restarted about 20 laps ago. I think if we get one yellow, we're probably going to bleed into caution after caution again. But if not, I think this race stays green to the end. And who is going to be in the best position to try to win? For fuel purposes, Byron not looking great. But I'm not going to say it's impossible. He doesn't make it. Chase Briscoe, better situation. I'd like to think him on back can make it on fuel. Really, it's just up to that 24 car. Do they have enough? They ran out of gas late at Dover, I believe it was. No, not Dover. Last weekend, ran out of gas on the final restart. Indianapolis, running in the top 5 most of the day before that. He also ran out of gas at Michigan. coming to the white flag while in second place in that one. So fuel mileage hasn't been the strong suit for the 24 team so far this season, and this could be the third instance of that just in the summer months alone. Race is still about 1.6 seconds off the lead back there in third. He's not really closing after the leader like our second place driver Chase Briscoe is. It is kind of fitting that as wild as the race has been so far, with 41 laps to go and as many cautions as we've seen, that somehow it's the two drivers that started out in front on the front row today running 1-2 at this juncture. I guess Justin Haley in ninth is on the same pit strategy of William Byron as well. So definitely going to be close. Priest actually pitted later than everybody else who was in the top 10, and he's got track position at third. He's done a great job on the restarts, getting a couple positions at a time with as many of them as we have had to still give himself a shot. Tyler Reddick, Ty Gibbs side by side, trapped behind the 99 of Suarez. Gibbs pulls out of line. They're going to be 3 wide for position down into turn 1. That battle amongst those 3 are outside the top 20. They're pretty deep in the field. Back-to-back not-so-hot runs for Gibbs. Reddick struggling after being very fast in practice yesterday. Had a spin earlier along with Christopher Bell in one of those many incidences, and has not been able to recover on track position since. Byron's gap over Briscoe is about 4 to 5 car lengths at the most. Briscoe's been really wrapping the bottom well on both ends of the racetrack to get the clean air on the nose. We haven't seen many drivers be able to do that today. They've done a lot of work to this 19 car. He qualified on the pole, but back at stage 1 and even the early going to stage 2, that 19 team struggled on the longer green flag run. So if this does go green to the end and he's able to win this thing by outright passing the 24, that's a job well done for James Small and that crew to get the handling as good as they have gotten it now over the course of the pit stops that they have had throughout the day. Now Briscoe's within about 2 to 3 car lengths to the back of the 24 car. 35 laps left this time by. Both of them are gapping the third place car of Priest. Keselowski within the last few laps had moved to 4th, getting by Alex Bowman. Brad has had probably the fastest car all day today. And Keselowski was actually about 3/10 quicker than that of Priest the last lap. And he was faster than the 2 drivers leading, Byron and Briscoe. So Brad Keselowski still may be the one to beat. He's got a little bit less fuel in his car than that of Ryan Priest, but the pace is there. Does he have enough time? Because not only he has to run these guys down, but then at that point he's going to have to make a pass, which has taken an extremely long time, one pass at a time. Ryan Priest, for his playoff situation, can't allow his teammate and team owner Brad Keselowski to go, but at the same time, with being teammates and knowing he's much quicker and has a better shot at the race win, might let him go anyway. Keselowski to 30, just got by Priest the last time down the front stretch, so Keselowski's into 3rd place. That's going to put more pressure on Briscoe to make this pass on Byron more sooner. While he could just let the 24 run out of gas, the more he sits behind him in dirty air, he's not going to be able to run as quick of lap times if he had clean air on the nose. Because Brad's got a lot of clean air on his nose after passing Priest, being 2 seconds off of Briscoe and Byron still. Slowly closing.
Each other down, and then he can start running them down. I don't know, though, that Briscoe has the car he needs. I saw him 2 laps ago. He got into turn 1, and he was sideways loose.
He just got sideways off turn 4 just then.
The question is, for me, with 31 to go, is are we going to run into the back of the field, right? These cars right here going into turn 3. Here's the back of the field coming off turn 4. Math would say, looking at lap times, they're going to catch him. They're going to catch the back of the field with about 12 or 14 to go. And that's just going to accordion this lead group right back together.
Folks at home, I want you to watch Keselowski in third and the number behind. It was at 2.4. It's now down to 2.35. Keep watching that margin. And can the 6 close it up? It's down to 2.2 seconds.
We remind this driver we have been the best car on the long runs, and that's coming up for Rich really last 50 laps. Keselowski had been top 3 lap times, and he continued to chunk out of that lead that Chase Briscoe and William Byron had. And remember, Jeff, he has done this twice today. He had to come back field, make passes for the lead in stage 1 and 2. Did he do it to win the race?
I think he's going to have a little bit of help. He's got the fastest race car, but help's coming because I agree with Steve. As the leaders catch the tail end of the pack, that is going to slow them down. We've seen it all day long. It's made an effect, and I think it will here in a few laps.
Under 2 seconds.
1.8.
And let me just remind everybody, I was thinking fuel, and that's what we were talking about. But Kim Kuhn told us that she heard a lot of crew chiefs worried about tire wear. These leaders have 65 green flag laps. So if they run green from here, that'll be the longest run on tires under green today. So will somebody quarter tire and lose a bunch of time in just the last closing laps?
Keselowski clears the lap car of Joey Gaze. That gap is back up to 2 seconds.
I know it's hard. Ricky, stay whenever you can.
Keep the lead. Say some gas. Keep the lead.
Well, he's being helped because Briscoe's car isn't driving well.
Agreed.
His car, you can see the back of the car is moving around a lot. He is not happy with his race car right now.
The race started with William Byron and Brad Keselowski fighting it out. Is the race going to finish with William Byron and Brad Keselowski fighting it out? First, Keselowski's going to deal with Briscoe, but that gap is stabilized. It's just staying at 2 seconds. Kim.
And they have given the 19 the go-ahead in terms of putting pressure on the 24. Spotter Drew Herring came on the radio and said the team just told William they would like him to save as much as he can still in the lead. Put all the pressure you can on the 24 of Byron.
You just got to keep putting the pressure on the 24 because you just heard Rudy Fugel on the radio talk about saving gas. It's going to really come down to traffic. I think we're focusing on fuel and tires. And in the end, Jeff, I think it's going to be how you catch the lap traffic. It's going to decide this race.
Stenhouse is the next one they come across. Climbing off turn 2, down the backstretch. What a first year at Joe Gibbs Racing for Chase Briscoe. The win at Pocono, 6 pole positions. Bottom box, Ryan Blaney fighting it out with Alex Bowman. This is for a top 5.
What a mix we have in the top 10 or 12. You see right here, that 15%.
Yeah.
Byron is driving away from Chase Briscoe. I think when they turn Chase loose, Chase went to go and it's not there. His car just isn't there. And that allows William Byron more opportunity to save fuel with that great big of a distance. He doesn't have to run full throttle. You heard him just say, save fuel, save fuel. Here comes Brad Keselowski. Brad is running Briscoe down. Can he get to Byron? Well, we keep talking about it. The better cars on the tail end of the lead lap are directly ahead of William Byron. Can he get through them?
There's a lot of them.
20 laps of the line is the call from Rudy Fugel, but he keeps saying, back it down more.
Yeah, sorry about that, Lee. I didn't mean to step on you, but a 70 for Briscoe and 30 for Keselowski, 0.4 of a second in one lap. That's just too much time to give up.
The key for Brad, if he can get to Briscoe, he's got to get by him right now. He cannot get hung behind him.
Fellas, that gap has gone from 2.4 seconds, Byron to Keselowski, to now 1.6 seconds. Keselowski continues to eat into this gap. And there's just 19 laps to go, this time across the line.
Byron did a really nice job of getting by Gillen in his 34 car. Wasted no time. Now this is the job of Keselowski. He's got to get through Briscoe quickly.
There you go. Let's go and get that 19, and let's go get career win number 37.
You're going to have to slide him, I believe.
That's a slider. He's to overdrive the entry, just slide up in front of him on exit.
They know it just like we do. He cannot waste time. He cannot waste time if he can get to the 19.
This lap tracker, it's been pretty easy for Byron. It's going to get harder if he gets all the way up to, say, the 88 and the 4.
If Keselowski were to win and confirm a spot in the playoffs, it would come with mixed feelings because he would bounce out one of his teammates and employees, Chris Buescher. But then there's still 3 races to go until the playoffs start.
Well, let me flip it. William Byron. You know, we talk about how great the year has been because he did kick it off by winning the Great American Race. He went to victory lane in the Daytona 500, but it's been a drought. Dominated the Coke 600. I mean, dominated for Ross Chastain to go up and take it away at the final run. Dominated at Darlington for a bad pit decision to get him behind in the last green flag cycle. So I know it's been a good year for the 24, but I think this team needs a shot in the arm. I think a win is just what they're looking for.
Cleveland Yard.
The other consideration,
Well, it's the shades of Pocono from about a month ago where Chase Briscoe was on fumes, having to save all the way to the end, ended up running out in the victory celebration, and now William Byron trying to do the same thing here at Iowa on, oddly enough, Chase Briscoe, who is in second, Brad Keselowski in third, also trying to close. Ryan Blaney just got by Bowman recently to get back into the top 5. He's in 5th and running down Ryan Preece for the 4th spot. He's within a second of him. Ryan Blaney, I believe, has been the quickest car on the racetrack. Him and Preece have more fuel in their cars than that of the 21, 19, and 24. But again, Byron by far is in the worst position for fuel than anybody else, and he is the leader. 13 laps left. His gap over Briscoe had grown to about 9/10 of a second. 19 car really started to fade quite a bit. We'll see if he can mount another charge after the 24. Depends on how much William Byron might end up backing up the race car. Ryan Blaney has moved into 4th place, just under 5 seconds off the lead as he makes quick work of Ryan Preece. A lot of the lappers that Byron's had to work by right now haven't really cost him any time. Those are cars with damage who are limping around the racetrack after all the incidences that took place in the race today. Keselowski, who is about a second and a half off the lead, is still about 1.7 seconds back. He's just not able to close on Chase Briscoe like he was. 10 laps left this time by for the 24. I mean, at this point, Byron's going to run it until it's dry, and you got to remember also the regular season championship battle between himself and Chase Elliott. He outscored Elliott in both the stages earlier today, but if he runs out of gas and gets a poor finish, Chase Elliott's still going to have the points lead, and he's probably going to extend it despite the stage point scoring from Byron earlier. Elliott did get some, but not as many as the 24. For all the cautions that we had in the middle portion of this race, 12 total, 11 basically back-to-back without more than a 20-lap green flag run in between them, and even 20 laps is generous. Probably more like double-digit laps in general. Byron is trying to hold on. 9 laps to go. Now remember that this is 9 laps around a 7/10 of a mile short track. So mileage-wise, he's really got just over 3.5 to 4 miles left to make it to the end of this race. 8 to go through turns 1 and 2. Byron's lead's now 1.4 seconds over Briscoe. He's actually pulling away. 2.5 over Briscoe, 2 seconds to Keselowski. Blaney is now within about 3.8 seconds of the lead in 4th. He's 2 seconds behind Brad for 3rd. Keselowski within a couple tenths of Briscoe. Can't really get any closer than that. Not yet, at least. He's been about this distance behind him for a while. 6 to go for Byron. Blaney now less than 3 seconds back. He's definitely not saving. Each of the top three might be. We definitely know the 24 is, despite the lap times he's running compared to the 2 cars behind him of Briscoe and Keselowski. Bubba Wallace up to 7, just got by Carson Hocevar for position. Also on the move. Logano, Austin Dillon moving into the top 10 recently. 4 laps to go for the 24. Quite a few lap cars in between Byron and Briscoe. Byron's got this race in the bag as long as he has enough gas to make it to the finish. Three to go this time by. Blaney attacking on Keselowski for third. Might have overdrove the entry just a bit into turn 1, slips the rear tires. If Byron runs out, the race for second would be the race for the win. Blaney does have fresher tires than the 2 cars that are in front of him as well. If that accounts for much. Blaney slips off of turn 4, slides right back in line behind the 6. Byron leads, 2 to go. Lap and a half now. And the white flag will be out this time by for William Byron. Byron still under power, a 1-second lead over Briscoe off of turn 2. Down the back straightaway. And if he gets up off turn 4, he can coast it from there, which he will. Checkered flag waves. William Byron will save enough gas. He'll make it to the end and win at Iowa. Second win of the season for the 24 team, first since the Daytona 500. Chase Briscoe in second, Brad Keselowski third, Ryan Blaney fourth, and Ryan Preece rounds out the top 5. Bubba Wallace in 6th, Alex Bowman 7th, Carson Hocevar 8th, Joey Logano 9th, and Austin Dillon round out the top 10. 11th place for Ross Chastain, Austin Cindric 12th, Josh Berry 13th, Chase Elliott 14th, John Hunter Nemechek in 15th, Eric Jones 16th, 17th for Christopher Bell, AJ Allmendinger 18th, Tyler Reddick 19th, Kyle Busch in 20th, Ty Gibbs 21st, Chris Buescher 22nd, Justin Haley 23rd, Denny Hamlin 24th, Daniel Suarez 25th, and Cole Custer in 26th, Michael McDowell 27th, Kyle Larson 28th, Noah Gragson 29th, Riley Herbst last car in the lead lap in 30th, Shane Van Gisbergen in 31st, Cody Ware 32nd, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 33rd, Todd Gillen 34th, Ty Dillon 35th, Zane Smith 36th, Joey Gase 37th. All 37 cars finished the race today. Again, only 30 on the lead lap, 10 lead changes, 12 cautions. 72 out of the 350 laps today were spent under yellow. 3 hours, 17 minutes, 46 seconds total time of the race. Margin of victory for Byron over Briscoe, 1.1 seconds. William Byron today was able to lead for 141 laps, most laps in the race. Briscoe from the pole at 81. Brad Keselowski led 68 laps, also won stages 1 and 2. Ryan Blaney for 29 laps led, 20 for Austin Cindric, 11 for Chase Elliott, were the 6 different drivers to lead of those 10 lead changes. Here's your race winner, William Byron on the front stretch at Iowa.
Hit in lap 206. At that point, it looked improbable to be able to run 140 some laps to be able to make it to the end of the race, but they somehow did it. After running out of fuel while leading in Michigan, running out of fuel last week while running third in Indianapolis, William does maybe the best fuel save of your entire career make up for those 2 races.
Man, that was how about that for some fuel mileage? We've had our fair share of things not go our way with fuel mileage, and just super thankful for Rudy, all these guys, all the engineers back at the shop, and just this whole race team. We've been through a lot this year. It's been a lot of growing pains. It's been tough on us, but it's feels really good today to get a win. Honestly, felt like we had a good car, and just
just kind of raced it and just tried to be there at the end, and we were, and luckily the fuel was enough there at the end. I think I ran out right there. That's why I stopped. But just thanks to Raptor, thanks to Chevrolet, Mr. Hendrick, everybody, Relay, Liberty, everybody.
You and I were talking about how frustrating it's been the last few months, having the speed, not being able to execute races. In fact, Rudy used the word desperate for a win. What was it like inside the 24 camp these last few months?
Yeah, I think our confidence in each other never wavered. I feel like our speed's been better than it's ever been, and that's a big reason why we stay confident. I feel like every week we work really hard together and show up prepared, show up fast, and yeah, we needed just one to go our way, and today it did. So honestly, they haven't, but today it did.
Man, they overcame everything, stretching the fuel to the very end. Brake issues early in the race, but William Byron finally gets win number 2 in 2025.
He's only the 5th driver to have more than one win so far this season. He's the only driver with 2 of them. Great job done on the fuel saving by Byron. He was quick all day. He was top 5 most of the day. Maybe not as quick as, say, Brad Keselowski for a lot of the time, but Brad just could not get by the 19 late. Despite having a more superior car for most of the day, he outright passed the 24 a couple times, but maybe fell behind the racetrack a bit compared to the 2 cars that were ahead of him on top of all the fuel saving going on in the late going of the event. Bubba Wallace, by the way, gained 26 positions on the last restart to get to 6th place. What a run for him coming off the week before winning at Indy. Probably had the freshest tires in the field for that last restart, I'd assume, was a lot of the way that he was able to pass that many cars. Kind of the same thing for Blaney there late. And being better on fuel, not having to save, was able to gain 6 spots and get to 4th on that final restart of about 63 laps to the finish. Thank you all so much for watching today's stream. It's going to be an abbreviated post race with the race going long. I have to get out of here. Appreciate everybody watching. We'll go over the start times for next week quickly. 5 p.m. Eastern will be live for the Craftsman Truck Series race on Friday. Again, Friday, Watkins Glen, 5 p.m. Eastern will be live there. And we'll be live for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at 3 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Cup practice and qualifying, I believe, will be set for noon Eastern Saturday as well. So doubleheader there, and Sunday for the Cup Series will be live at 1:30 p.m. Eastern with our pre-race coverage. Thank you all so much for watching yet again. Thanks also once more to the $20 super chat that was sent earlier by Brian Zantop. Thank you so much for that. And be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. 73 likes right at the end. We did hit above 50 for all three live commentary streams this weekend. And hope to see you guys back again next time. I'll have the gaming schedule posted at some point either tonight or tomorrow morning on the channel. And obviously the schedule that I just listed for next weekend's live commentary slate will be updated either probably Thursday next week, with the first stream being on Friday. So see you next time whenever I see you. Congratulations again to William Byron for winning today's race and regaining the points lead with 3 races left in the regular season. Have a good night, everyone.